No.
Are you ready? This is a reconvening of a meeting that was recessed. When was this recessed?
November 20th.
November 20th. To today, December 14th at 8:30. For the record, those present are myself, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Santos, and Commissioner Martinez. And today, the evaluations are in open session because they're for the general managers. So everything's in open session, and we start with John Beneventi, the general manager for GPA, I'm sorry. And John, you presented us with your thoughts on all the different things, which is good, thank you. So I'm going to let you lead us through this, because,
Yep.
you know, okay, so
What I'll do, Mr. Chair, if the commission is okay, I'll go through and just highlight all the different things that I won't necessarily read everything.
Okay.
It's only 16 pages long, no? So, but it's actually for the whole year. You know, I wanted to give the commission a picture of really, it's been a long year.
Yeah.
And of course, we had malware in between. However, there has been a lot of things that have been accomplished. No? And again, this is not only per se by myself, but working with our teams. No, they have accomplished quite a bit for the good of the community and stuff. But again, and then going through the storm, it also provides us a benchmark as how are we doing really? How is the utility doing from one financial basis and anything else, it's resiliency and all of that. So I will go through as quickly as I can, and then I'll just leave it to answer any questions you may have, and then I'll leave it to yourselves. No? Again, let's start with financially sound and stable. And in this you see yellow highlights, Mr. Chairman. I think in the past, you know, it's difficult to translate or just to put it into specifically in the form. So I had some of our teams volunteer to actually look at it and say where it may apply in your rating portion. So as you try to say, okay, is this a financial issue? Is this so and so? They kind of highlight it, and you know, they all did the best that they can at this. So.
Mr. Chair, just before John begins, would it be appropriate, colleague, that I love the fact that we review our GMs in public, and we're going to do that now. But like this presentation, which is your presentation, isn't available for the public to see. I'm very comfortable that after we do our review, we'll go through this. Could we also put this on, so that people can see John's presentation, our review, our scoring, you know, in full, you know, fully disclosed. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, my apologies. I should have put it up on the screen for the public. However, we will do that next time. And stuff. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's good.
And
We're good.
for your information, too, commissioners, we are working on really upgrading our streaming presentation, not only for this room but also for the multi-purpose, which we have converted so that we have multi-functioning locations. So I think next year you'll see that difference, so that we can be seamless.
And may I add for the public, just to remind them, all right? The base rate is what pays payroll, administrative costs, debt service, everything that's not fuel, right? Fuel and the solar contracts, that's run through the Lee Act. The base rate has not been adjusted in over 10 years. So whatever pay raises have been granted to employees or to management has been paid for by a base rate that hasn't changed in 10 years because of the efficiencies that our management team and our employees have been able to generate. The savings that they're able to generate, they're able to reward themselves with any pay adjustments for the last decade without raising the base rate to the ratepayers, right? And that, I think, is a tribute to the entire team at GPA, from management to linemen to the average to our customer service people, to find ways to save money for our ratepayers. But there is a misperception that a pay raise to anyone, whether it's our employees or our management, has created an increase in the power bill. It has not. The base rate has not changed for a decade because of the capability of management and employees to live within their means. This elected commission has also mandated that our team live within its means. And I just want to get that on the record, that the base rate that pays payroll, for which we've increased the pay of all of our employees for the past decade, has not changed since 2013. The only thing that's changed on the power bill in the last decade has been a result of the changes in the price of fuel. Okay.
I just want to add one thing before you start, John. And I think that's important to note because we set the pay for our employees. It's not set by the government of Guam, which recently granted a 22% increase in pay from the top to the bottom. Across the board. So we don't do that. And that way we manage our funds better, I believe.
And we worked with Senator Klitsky and Senator Brown to set up a unique pay scale that is competitive so we can attract and retain our team.
Right.
But even that pay scale and the resulting pay adjustments for our people has been paid by the base rate, and the base rate has not changed for 10 years.
Okay, so, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, let's talk about financially sound and stable, as you had noted. You were noting that we haven't changed the base rate in 10 years. Our financial statements are clean. We have 60 days of unrestricted cash. Debt service coverage 1.65 as of August 2023, despite Typhoon Mawar. And again, we lost revenue, but we recovered quickly, and therefore our finances. The bond ratings that were put on a watch, we eventually came back and made it all stable because of our quick recovery and of course our resiliency. Physical hedging, fuel storage, 85 megawatt of solar that's on the line, and again there's more to come in terms of the work. So again, these are all putting us in a financially sound position. We minimize our losses from Typhoon Mawar, and the bond ratings didn't get downgraded because we are in such a very isolated locations, the rating agencies are always looking at fuel impact, typhoon impact, and all of that. And as a result, it's not unusual at all for us to get downgraded, despite our fall, because of our infrastructure. Well, because of our infrastructure that's been put in over the years now, that did not occur. So we maintain our ratings, which is investment grade rating for us. Of course, we have the continued impact of fuel oil prices that went through us, most especially over the past couple of years and in the last year. We went up to 47 million of cash reserves that was utilized to help the customers alleviate, not mitigate, but alleviate the increases. And in fact, we did decrease the LIAC this past year in June from the 31 to 23 cents. And we did, and then we did file we're filing with the PUC for November, from the November meeting, for not to increase the LIAC despite the oil prices climbing to the $120 plus dollars a barrel. I'd like to note for the record that the good news is that the oil prices have been coming down, and it's now around $105 a barrel. So hopefully by the time we get to January, that will help impact the decision with the PUC on the LIAC. Because again, we provide the LIAC projection for November, and the PUC on our recommendations, and then the PUC makes that decision. As you can see here, $117 a barrel in September. I looked at the record the day before yesterday, and we're down to actually about 98 and tracking downwards. So that's good news. Let's talk about the budget, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to say again, for the second year of our 2-year budget, first of all, thank you, the Commission and the Chairman, Finance Chairman, Commissioner Santos, for the 2-year budget process. That's always been a thing for us. Is every year by the time we start spending the money, it's time to be worried about the next year's budget. But through the Commissioner Santos and the CCU, we have a 2-year budget now that will flow through the next year. And again, we have been able to stay within that budget. Of course, this year's expenditures, actually our budget was 86 million. We came in with about 68 million, as noted, I'm sure, by our CFO. Of course, part of that is because of the malware, where we're not spending, and again, as much, but then we're up there again. But usually we'll come in about 6 to 8 million below what we budget for various reasons that happens out there. Let's talk about the manpower. In 1997, we had about 678 employees in Guam Power Authority. When in 2013, when I first took over here, we had 512. As of FY 2023, we had 408. Now, I'm not saying that that's the right level. I'm thinking the level will be a little bit higher there, because what's happening is that, as I had noted before, several years now, that 50 to 60% of the workforce were eligible for retirement, because the DB plan, most of the ones that were in that plan are starting to retire. A big transformation. So I will show that again that we've been doing the apprenticeship program, but also now we're going to be adding FTE, because the apprentices are graduating. Now they get to be full-time employees of the utility. And I will note what some of those. But the one here is that, again, somewhere around this number, the 400, 450, between 400 and 450, will be about the right size for GPA. And again, that would help when the Cabos 1 and 2 are retired. That number will really maybe more towards the 400 ratios. But again, I'm getting ahead of my presentation here, but how does that happen? That happens through technology improvements, manpower efficiencies, with utilization of all of those, and providing the resources for people to do their work. No? So, yeah.
1997, the appointed board, we had.
That's correct. That's correct. It's right here, Mr.
It's no longer a dumping ground.
Well, 408.
408. Yeah.
More. 200 and
Yeah.
When did you take over, John? Or
2014.
2015.
2014. Late 2014.
Yeah.
CCU.
Well, even at 2014, from 512, you brought it down to 408. That's over 100.
But
20%.
But again, and the team, right? They just and then the biggest challenge we're having is again, we're training the younger generation to take on board, because I mean, let's not forget I'm sorry, not never forget, but the DB plan, when it started, we're now in that last. So if we get over the next 5 years now, is really the next generation now that will take over.
Contribution plan.
That's right. So I'll show you that we have been heavily training as such. No. So next thing, going to system reliability, Mr. Chair. There's been, the Commission approved the integrated resource plan. And in the integrated resource plan, of course, looked at the new generation. We look at complying with the US EPA consent decree. We look at renewable energy, energy storage, and transition to cleaner fuel. Remember that we've noted that for 55 years or so, we were burning heavy oil, cheaper, but of course, much dirtier, if you will. Not much, but dirty, if you will. Now, the island is, as of December 2022, last year, we're burning only ultra-low sulfur diesel. Now, it just didn't happen overnight. If you recall, we've had to make conversion of the PD 8 and 9 unit. We had to, again, do change out and burn out all the heavy fuel that we had in the tanks while we were bringing in low sulfur fuel, right? So all of those are, I mean, it happens in the backgrounds, but the key here is that we are achieving the the integrated resource plan as put together. And of course, the cheaper and cleaner fuel is costlier. But again, we're working through it, and there is the future. And that's the next one. The Ukudu power plant, when commissioned in 2026, and for your information, because I know there's no meeting this month, but I am negotiating an accelerated commissioning of the Ukudu plant to be as early as September 2025. So that's almost 4 months cut back on the schedule. Now, that's a huge help for us because it will save somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 to $10 million a month in fuel costs by having it earlier, and of course provide us the reliability that we will need.
And lower the power bill.
And lower the power bill. That immediately will have an immediate impact on our consumption and therefore the LEAC to our customers. No? And so again, this is what we were waiting for, but again, we'll continue. We've had a hiccup, malware costs our construction to be delayed, and so now we are working to try and get this even earlier. So again, and over the same time as we look at other things, we're looking at going to 50. The mandate is 50% renewables by 2035. Our goal to achieve that is targeting 2030, so that we will achieve that. I will show you later on that we're looking at being somewhere in that neighborhood if the bids that came in are desirable to all be approved. We could achieve 50% by 2027. So again, potentially, again, there's no recommendation yet, but we're now working towards that. So clean energy, renewable transportation, lower fuel, and the PUC has approved for approved as the CCU did for us to begin the LNG study in 2024 to look further as to, again, we cannot close our eyes to what potential ways are to save energy costs to our consumers. So therefore, natural gas potentially, as was previously looked at, could save an additional $35 million a year from lower cost maintenance and lower cost fuel. So we're going to go through the process in 2027 and make have the study completed, and from there we'll look there.
John, real quick, when is that LNG study going to be completed?
Probably by but I would say about towards the end of the year.
This 2023.
2024, next year. So they just approve it November, I believe. Yeah.
And to remind the colleagues, so the most important decision that was made was back in 2013 when, between John and Ken Flores, the recommendation was to build Ukudu to burn both fuels, right? We wouldn't be even having this conversation if it wasn't for the foresight that says when we build a new plant, let's have it be able to burn two fuels. PUC at the time said, build the plant, we're not sure about LNG yet, but there was a study, it would be an FSRU would be put out there. It's feasible. Now we're going to update the study. But it really was the foresight to say, when we build Ukudu, well, let's make sure Ukudu had alternatives, had a choice, could be built with alternative fuels in mind. And we approved it, the PUC approved it, and now it is under construction. Unlike my grandfather's school or the hospital, or, it's actually in construction.
You have to consider that ultra low sulfur diesel
With
is
the
a
pointed boards.
commodity fuel, right? That actually is utilized throughout the world for trucking and
Gas
everything
is-
else. So unless they start going more and more to electric vehicles, if the utilization of that keeps going up, it puts us, so therefore natural gas gives us an opportunity to have an alternative, towards a more sustained and cleaner and cheaper fuel in the future. So and you're correct. The infrastructure is going in, and it's being constructed so that we are in that position. We're not trying to catch up anymore.
We planned ahead.
Phase 4 renewables, again, like I said, we're currently about 16%. And so therefore, the bid that the CCU approved, which went out last December, and look, it takes a while to get this through, right? Here we are. There has been 5 proponents that have been qualified to move forward, and the bid opening is December 20. And then we will take a look at that, make our evaluations, and come to the CCU, and then subsequent to the PUC. So we will know what those numbers were like. You're looking at operation within 36 months after that. So again, here's where I was saying, the bids that are in there are enough actually to bring GPA to do as much. Not if you award everything, it gives you up to about 50%. But again, that's really up to the CCU. I don't have an idea what numbers are and everything, but we will bring that to you in January.
And remember, so under the CCU, we work with Speaker Ben Pangilinan. We developed the first integrated resource plan that included the renewables. And the original goal was 25% by 2035. And we're already at 16. John says we may actually be at 25, 26 in the next few years. 10 years ahead of schedule. The new number was changed after we created the first number, right? So the legislature wanted to be more aggressive. We're being more aggressive. But the original number was 25% by 2035. We are in 2023, we're at 16%. And John, you're just saying within a few years, we could exceed 25%, 10 years ahead of the original schedule.
If you award if everything that's been bid on the table now is awarded 50% by 2027.
Yeah, so
That's
twice
only
the
3
original
years.
goal, 8
Yeah.
years early.
Yeah. So again,
Hopefully
our
my
target,
grandfather's
even
schools
it
were
was
rebuilt.
2030, but again, we'll take a look at all of that. But that's the good news. At least there are proponents out there that are confident and
Good.
coming to the market. And again, why are they confident coming in here and signing a 25-year contract with the utility? Because they know the utility will pay and have honored all its contracts to over 20, 30, 40 years. I'd say 20, 30 years of contracting with the utility, with IPPs and everything. So therefore, that's one reason why having a very financially sound company, right, and you can agree with me, helps others come to provide us that.
We're close to almost $2 billion in public-private partnership on the GPA side.
We're the only government agency
That does it.
There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
other government entity.
Yeah.
I don't think they could spell private.
Yeah, and that's because we're an elected board and we're responsive to the ratepayers and not the political process.
So in magnitude, again, phase 4 is about another $1 billion of investment. Investment by the private sector to produce energy that we will buy, with them taking all the risk. Yeah.
Exactly.
So again, that's a decision that was made by the CCU and the PUC to minimize our risk, because again, renewables, it's been here a few years, but it's still evolving. Just like you say, why not go to 100%? Well, again, we can go to 100% until at least we can survive with 50%. There in the 50%, you put in all the technologies necessary to get you to, push the pedal down. Right now, you push the pedal, maybe crash, no? So again, so that's the process, right? So this decade, right, is going to get us to a position where we can look at 100%.
I think, John, there's also one important thing that we have to make sure that as you go forward, we inform the public about this. Because some of them are concerned that, hey, you're building Okudu, it's going to be around for 25 years. Well, you have 100% renewable. No. There are 5 countries in the world that consider themselves 100% renewable. And none of them operate strictly on renewable for 365 days. Okay, Costa Rica is a good example. They have a lot of hydropower. And what happens is, last year, maybe for around 300 days, they were strictly on renewable with their hydropower, solar, wind, whatever they had. The other 65 days, they have to turn on a generator. So that Okudu power plant is going to serve even after we get to the 100%. You need to have fossil fuel generators. No country in the world that is considered 100% today has 100% of the time. It doesn't work like that. Even the windmills, they go down, they have to be serviced, something has to be there. So there's a misperception out there, a misconception that some people think, well, maybe you don't need to build this new generator. We got a lot of pushback when we started to go down the road of building a new generator. And I remember your comment was, this is the last generator we're ever going to build. And it works well with renewables because it goes up and down fast.
Right.
But most importantly, John, the LEAC for that new generator is at 17 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's in line with the 8.5 or 9 at Marble. It's in line with your goal, which you've stated many times that you want. The proposals can't go over 15 cents because your target is 15 cents. And in fact, the last thing, for renewables, because the last one that we had to work with Hanwha to keep that in play, to bring in renewable, 14.83 cents. So under the 15 cents. That's the key. We want renewables. They have to bring in a good price. It's not renewables at any cost because that cost gets passed on to our ratepayers. So we have to be aggressive in getting that cost.
And almost all the ones that do 100% have
unless you're
hydro.
bringing more
Almost
value
all the
to
ones,
the-
and we don't have hydro here.
Yeah.
Yeah, then
Yeah, we
beyond
don't-
wind and solar. If you just
Right.
want to do wind and solar, the chairman's absolutely right. You better have a generator.
And so, we just need the public to understand that generator is not just for 25 years. It's going to serve the public for a long time, even after you get to the 100% renewable concept, okay? So, go ahead,
That's
John.
correct, and just one addition to that, Mr. Chair, for every day of if entirely solar, by having solar storage batteries, increases your rates by 7.5 cents a kilowatt hour. So if you have 10 days of reserve, because with that's happened, as shown in 2019 or 2020, we had 19 days where there's hardly any sun. Then it's not affordable. So yes, you're correct. Our goal is to provide energy at an affordable rate.
Yes.
No?
And
Yeah.
really, with the exception of storm, which nobody can control, our record, I think, I remember once before the storm, we were talking about 96% of the time your power is on.
Yeah, I think it's 98 is what
98,
we
I
saw.
think, yeah.
And we got to do a better job of explaining that because
Yeah.
the media focused on they divided that by the number of days and they got to 22 minutes. It's actually every circuit was about 15 hours per circuit was the average, which, okay, some nights there was the 3 hours, some nights there was just the 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
But then we were a little too smart. We divided it to get minutes per day, which, confused people because, hey, 22 minutes a day, I was out for 3 hours. Well, okay. Yeah, you were out for 180 minutes. If that happened in 180 days, your average time would have been 1 minute a day. But per circuit, it was about 15 hours per circuit in the last 90 days is what you presented last time, is with the average circuit, which is, we're all on a circuit, right? The average circuit was out 15 hours, which turned out to be 98%. And so I think with the chairman.
Actually, it's what I showed for those past 3 months, which has been the worst
right.
period of our, because of the high demand period, and our need to get back on our feet, is we serve 99.5% of the energy needed to
Demand.
be served. Only 0.5. Again, no consolation, right? Load shedding,
No
but
fun when it's
Yeah,
out.
it's no fun when
but
it
that
happens.
that meant the community function, you know, and so we're, you know, and that's where again December is already less, as we can see. It's been almost 3 weeks now that we maybe had 2 days of impact, and
Okay.
We'll just keep working it, just keep
So,
working it.
and you have plans to
Yeah.
take care of that? Okay,
so
John.
Can I just ask, so
Sure.
John, explain to me, what exactly is the Guam Airport Authority talking about? Because I'm concerned that if we're not a reliable system, then take them off the program. Okay? Let them go. Okay, and they don't have to participate. No one's forced to be in this program.
Correct.
Okay, but at the same time, when you need our help, they're the ones calling. So I'm thinking that, you know, when we really look at the customers, if the customer, like airport authority, if it's not working for you, then get off. Okay, if it's not viable and we're destroying your systems, we're doing this, then work on your own. You have your own generators.
Yep.
Then power yourself through your generators. It's unfortunate that the system is not 100% working, but hey, you know, that's why you have generators. Go be on your own, and you know, I thought this was a viable program for the community as a whole, and then to come out and say, well, you know, you're the cause of all this. I don't think we're the cause of their escalators their elevators not working and all that. And I said, well, that's why I was looking, you know, I mean, I was taking it back and go, on one side, we're all the same Guam, but on one, and then you're, so I'm of the opinion, take them off, okay? Don't include them anymore in our interruptible programs, in our load, and we go to the customers that want to work with us.
understood. That was disappointing, but I think they also made a decision without all the information, no? So you're correct, but I'll put that together and I'll try and see whether they understood. But you're correct. I mean, you can always get off the interruptible.
Yeah, it's a
program.
volunteer. It's a
Yeah.
volunteer thing.
Yeah,
We
and
don't
of
force
course,
them to do that.
you know, I went to them in the beginning because we're government entities, and first off, we should try and help each other, and they did. I mean, I understood, but I think I'm not quite sure why I'm not even sure, you know. So,
All they had to do
but
was not
I
volunteer.
understood, and of course,
They could have
and
come
of
back
course,
to you and say, John, we don't want to do this.
when there's some need in the airport, I get a call from the vice chair who gets a call. He gets me a call, and immediately we
help.
we help.
Again,
So
if they don't want to be a two-way street, colleagues, then we have our own street, and that's
it's a volunteer program, and
They
again,
can maintain their own generators and buy their own gas, up to them.
so
But
I
we'll-
will respond to them. You know, and, yeah.
you know, it's
But we want to serve all our customers. We're not saying we don't want to serve anybody, but we want to remind them, this is a volunteer thing. Okay, go ahead, moving along, John.
The other thing now is the infrastructure resiliency plan. No, of course, coming out of Mawar, we look at we're 99 point something in concrete poles, so now we're shifting from our understanding that to get coming from the fastest recovery, which is still really not where we want to be. Underground systems now will help us get there. And so therefore, there's been a very strong concerted effort to look at ways that we can help to get underground funded here. We've been working with FEMA, not only for the reimbursement of the 90-10, but also in the mitigation funds for longer term. Hopefully, I mean, if you recall, Virgin Island got $2 billion, Puerto Rico got $11 billion. Our program will take $6.4 billion. Will get us to really an underground system with modeling. No, so again, we've been talking to those FEMA, the military branches, and I'll show you later on how many presentations have I done, how many visits have I had from various federal entities, and of course, because energy is very important most here, not only during typhoon but also in the national defense structure. So we've been working very well with the federal entities, and I've been communicating with them what are our immediate needs to really provide that service to everyone in the community. So again, including DOD, NAFAC, we've been working quite well on that. And again, they are 20% customer. They pay 20% of our debt, and of course, have been a stable customer. In terms of recovery, infrastructure investment, of course, we restored 99% within 50 days.
How
We had
many days,
sufficient
John?
50 days.
50, okay.
Yeah. And how did we accomplish that? No, part of it, of course, we had a strong team of recovery, but it also inventory. We had $15 million of inventory. We didn't run out of, remember, transformer back in
Yeah,
when the
we didn't have
commission
that
came
Mawar.
in 2003.
In Pang San Juan.
The word around the street is, whoa, your transformer's down, you're going to take forever to get it up. No, we had that. I had to remind people this storm.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we had the inventory. Concrete pole again, very 99%. So now we're going to, and we have been doing hybrid, commissioners. Remember you put in agate?
Well,
We
that was
put
your
in
pilot
over
project.
500 customers got back very quickly because their secondary was underground from the pole all the way to their homes. Telephone for another several hundred. Dedidu, another 400. So we have been moving
Yeah.
with what we could afford. No?
Yeah.
So now we'll have
Without
a more,
raising the rates.
without
Now
raising the
base
rate.
rate.
Yeah,
And
the
again,
base rate.
and so all of this, with some help, no, will not be again to get us further and further
So,
along.
If the federal government treated us the way they treated the other territories,
Yep.
you would have the money you need to do a lot more. But I think that's significant, John, the fact that we are putting in underground systems without increasing the base rate. In other words, we're finding efficiencies again.
Yeah.
You know, do more with less. And that's what you're doing. That's what we're doing at GPA.
John,
So-
John, what do you, Mr.
ahead.
No, John, what's your expectation with FEMA timeline, feedback, any preliminary feedback on the request?
I'm sorry. We should be getting through with our reimbursement part, and then the mitigation.
Yeah.
I've had a visit from them, of course, and they didn't really emphasize. Although I did ask in the beginning, I was used to Typhoon Ponsona when maybe 20 million, 30 million of funding is available. So my question then was, is it around the same again? Because not for anything more than I need to plan, right? If that's all you're going to provide, I need to find other ways to get it done. But no, they said they had this mitigation process that brings in more and more money, depending on the ratio of how you mitigate future costs by making this investment. So we're giving them all the information to put into they have the model and stuff. Once that happens, I don't
We'll see
know.
what they
Maybe
say.
within the
But
next.
do you have an ETA? Did they come back? I remember I
no
sat in with
idea.
the
Maybe
meeting.
in
The
the
governor
next-
helped set up the meeting,
Maybe in
and we
the
sat
next
in.
few months, perhaps. But I know
Okay.
that
So by
everyone I
mid-year.
talk to,
Sometime next year, we might get an answer from them on what they can do for future mitigation. That's the big money.
Yeah.
The reimbursement for, typhoon damage, that's the small money.
yeah,
I mean, I guess the question too, colleagues, is as we look every single year, I mean, they just approved the NDAA and it's billions. I mean, didn't see anything that talked about our side of the infrastructure.
Well, except that Congressman Moreland, we were able, that project I'm working on the side, Congressman Moreland, we got him to put in a placeholder. The U.S. military has to study undergrounding. They immediately met, he put it in 3 months ago, now it's passed, right? But within a week of him just announcing that he'd put it in, they met with John. So John's, like the FEMA piece, is talking to the DOD. DOD's made it clear. They can't just easily take it out of their pocket and do the civilian side. But DOD also recognized that their whole labor force lives on the civilian side, and much of their own soldiers and sailors and air people live on the civilian outside the fence. So they're very sensitive to that. After Pong San Hua, they hardened to Anderson's Gate, and Anderson was really happy until they got into the gate, inside the gate, And then Anderson and Big Navy reminded themselves and the entire world that, those bases are 50 years old. They had leaks, and they didn't have underground, right? So now Big Navy is going to want to underground. They talk about Polaris, right? To their gate, right? And John's been pushing, hey, let us do inside the gate. You keep giving it to the boss contractor. We know what to do, right? We've hardened poles, right? But it's like $12 billion for Anderson and Big Navy just reconstruction of their base and hardening inside the gate, because Anderson was going, wow, what good is it just to the gate, right? And everybody got spoiled by 20 years of no typhoon. You didn't have to spend the money. Well, typhoon showed up. We all realized how old it is. They're putting in a big chunk of money. Once they can sort out their undergrounding piece from, let's say, Polaris to their gate, they're talking to John about, well, it's silly for us to underground. What are you undergrounding? And John's trying to coordinate that. That's where the FEMA money helps us, put the deals together. So my hope is in the next 6 months or so, when FEMA says this is what we can do, and DOD's already talking, and the NDAA did say, you owe the Congress a report in 1 year on the undergrounding for your needs, which we know is going to mix with the civilian side just by absolute necessity, because their whole workforce lives offside the base, and so does a lot of their own people.
I can discuss some of that with my meetings throughout the year. And first, it started
You've
with
been bringing us up to date, John.
the first ones was from the Undersecretary, Offices of Defense, Air Force, and even Indo-Pac, no? And then later on, then they start sending in the staff, the assistants, and all of that, and actually all with the same messages going through. So this past week, I had from the Air Force Office of Energy Assistance, and they're the ones also working on how to integrate some of this. So
I think the
so
study produces the numbers that
so I'm seeing the
Commissioner Santos
actions
was asking
coming
about.
down the line, and again, I just don't know, but we're very consistent. Everyone depends on energy from GPA. GPA has a plan how to make them more resilient and all of that, and so we presented that in every stage of the game, and hopefully funding starts to come down. And one question FEMA had for us in the last, and this was the top ones, top personnel FEMA was, if we gave you all that money, how long would you get this job done?
Right.
And my answer, of course, was at least 10 years.
Yeah.
It's not something you
It's
can
not,
do
I
tomorrow.
mean,
can't
they
build
can
7
dump,
billion
you
in
know.
But
in a
So
month.
at least they're, to me, that's an indication that at least they're thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
In the message.
Because they
So
have their
that's
own
the-
budget challenges, so
Yeah.
if they don't have to give us $7 billion in 1 year, and they can give us $1 billion for 7 years, we'll spend it, right? But we appreciate their side of the equation with the Congress,
Yeah.
right?
So at least that's the conversation is there. So so
Okay.
I can assess at this time. No? Again, fuel transition. I mentioned earlier, we are burning now ultra low sulfur diesel, and where we're heading in terms, and low sulfur at Cabas, and where we're heading with the new power plant. Physical security. You pass our concept, proof of concept. The PUC has passed that, so we're putting in our first set of proof of concept. After that, then we will fund the physical security for the GPA assets and the GWA assets, no? Because we have to have really a strong physical security in that area. But so this is the moving part. Our team has been successful in grants, again, from DOE. Again, DOE, Sandia Lab, and all of that, they're all coming here because we're all trying to solve how to integrate more renewables into a system and it work together, right? So Guam is a perfect model because we're doing it from cradle to grave, no? And so they've really been supporting us in various areas. And again, we're getting grants for that. We're working on there's the trying to achieve even through the governor's office and all of that, studies towards renewable energy by 2030. And I mean, we're having 2030 be under the discussion now, not 2035, no? Because again, so So we are getting grants to achieve that and move thing forward. Affordability, again, our rate has not changed since about 9.4 cents from since about 2013.
That's on the base rate.
That's on the base rate. The LEAC had dropped from 31 down to 23 cents. We're recommending to hold it, but fuel prices are dropping. And again, holding it even though we're still under recover 20 million or so. Because again,
Yeah.
you know, we're
21
trying.
years ago, under the appointed board, we had no cash to front for the LEAC. And we were able to front 47 million. We can front 20 million. I mean, that's thinking about the ratepayers and their burden.
So I also like to note, Mr. Chair, that, you know, because sometimes it's said that GPA gets the $5 million a month, you know, and then we're giving, but that's just a pass-through. That we don't get any
You're
subsidy
talking
from that.
about the subsidy to the ratepayers.
That's
from
right.
the government of
So
Guam.
for the
From the
record
general
to
fund.
be clear, we do not touch one penny of that. That just goes from the government, no, and as per their desire to give it to the ratepayers. What we have done is implemented that. Because there's no, how do you give $5 million out a month to all ratepayers? Well, you gotta have the technology to be able to do that, which we
That's an
have to.
important thing we need to make sure the public understands, the ratepayers understand.
So we're not being
That's not-
subsidized
there's
by
no
that.
subsidy to GPA.
That's the regularly.
It's a subsidy to the ratepayers.
Right,
And that's
100%,
what
not
we
one
recommend.
penny goes to us, no?
John?
Yeah.
So my question is, so the last 10 years, it's affordable. In other words, you afford to give him that base rate at that rate.
Yeah, the 9.6 cents
Yeah,
we've been
we've run the
giving.
company on that 9.6, at 10 cents a kilowatt hour for the last decade.
But is that
And that's
affordable?
covered everything,
Okay.
except for fuel. And the
No,
only
remove
Yeah.
fuel,
right.
just the base rate.
Yeah.
So, and how do we do it?
We're
We
okay
drop
with that. In other
we
words,
drop labor,
I
technology
mean, if you're
improvements.
struggling to maintain that,
We've been able to maintain it. And that's also allowed us to have over $47 million in reserve cash that when COVID hit, we were able to front on behalf of all the ratepayers. We've spent basically 3 years recovering that $47 million. 20 years ago, when the CCU was first elected, right, there was no cash to front anything. And the chairman will remember when we were on the PUC, if it was $3 million, they would run for rate relief. Now we can go up to $47 million of advancing on behalf of our ratepayers during COVID, when things were really bad for everybody. We thought about the ratepayers and said, let's use some of our reserves, we'll pay for the fuel, and we'll get that back over time. And basically, the $47 million, which we're going to be, even with the current LEAC proposed, we're still going to be 20 million short next August, right?
Because fuel started going the other
Basically,
way.
think of it this way. In the last 4 years, we have fronted between $20 and $50 million of fuel costs to our ratepayers to keep the LEAC as low as we can keep it. When it went up to 32, it was to recover some of that money. So, and now we reduced it last June. Even next August, it'll still be 20 million. We couldn't do that 21 years ago under the appointed board. There was no cash. There was no reserve. There's not even a concept of it. And that's the difference between having an elected board and having, and look how many fewer people we had under the elected board. Almost 40% fewer employees under an elected board. Because we're accountable to the ratepayers, not to a governor, not to the senators that confirm us, but to the ratepayers. And it's produced these kinds of dramatic reduction in payroll, build up in cash so we can front LEAC money and spread out the recovery over 3 or 4 years. That was impossible 21 years ago. That was, and the final thing I just want to add, when we took office, well, the chairman wasn't there yet, but when we took office in January of 2003, 1 month after Pong San Hua, the appointed boards of Power and Water had not met the entire month of December. They didn't even meet. We were in a typhoon. They didn't even meet to help their utilities. Right? Here we are meeting right after Marwar, dealing with Marwar. That appointed board abandoned their job after Pong San Hua for 1 month. And
So, John, I think for me, it's important that we make sure that the ratepayers understand not only are you doing your job, but our systems are secure. So I think I'd like to highlight the cybersecurity that we do, and because that's important. I mean, we know that they are trying to hack us.
Yep.
We know that, but we have not been hacked, and we are tested by all different agencies.
Right.
You know, the Coast Guard,
We have a strong team,
we
and
have a strong team, and
we
this-
get all the assistance we can get
Yeah.
to prepare.
So, and you know, we're investing heavily into cybersecurity. Again, no base rate increase. We're accomplishing all of this through the efforts of you and your team and the people of GPA. So, you know, I mean, we have to stress that.
Yeah, we will, Mr. Chair. I
Okay,
think we
so-
haven't done a good job. I think enough of a job.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
we're
I
not
mean,
finished. We're not
because
finished.
we're not
You're going to
finished,
do
but,
more. I know that.
But the team, I mean, we've done so much that this is just an extra thing that I think we need to we'll put out. But again, without the team, I can't do anything, you know. Another thing, if I may add, Mr. Chair, and again, this is good to get everything out on the table, no. We have touched over 20. I lost track of the last number, but the last one I looked at, we've touched over 20,000 applications for demand-side management and rebates. So we're giving over $1 million a year in rebates to customers to buy energy-efficient air conditioners, which lowers their power bill and rate. What does that do also? It lowers our revenue coming to GPA. And my point to that is, that's fine. That's what we want our customers to do.
It lowers our load.
But what's sometime out there is that, oh, GPA does not want you to do this and that because they're gonna lose revenue. No. We adjust, and that's why we're providing DSM revenue to our customers for the rebates. And PUC actually approve about $3 million a month because we know the value. If I reduce your consumption at home, even my rate stays, no, your cost will come down. So that's what's happening today.
And that's less generation of power we need to
That's
create
correct.
because people are using less power. So everybody wins under the DSM program. Everybody wins when they reduce their power consumption.
The
Everybody
less,
wins.
the
We
less
win, they win.
we import fuel oil,
Yeah.
the best the community can. So again, I didn't want to, but we can go on and discuss some of these programs that are in there. That's not really, because we all often accuse of so many things, and and again, maybe it's just a matter of showing, and this are a record. No, they can have this information because we can support it,
And
right?
maybe we got to do a better job of outreach and education, and that's probably one of the things that we can talk about going forward is because there's a lot of things that are misperceived, and some of that's on us to better communicate.
Yeah, we've done a lot. I mean, we really have. Our team has excelled from going from really hardly any communication to now social media, everything. So we're gonna find and keep on adding these things as they go along, no? So we can consistently get the media and the public informed. We have newsletters every month, and we have a strong team that writes that. All very factual stuff, no? I know that.
Okay.
Let me move along, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, John,
Employees.
because we still have to do the ratings. We have to go through these things.
You all gonna do that.
Sunset's at 6.
I'll just leave. We tried to give you,
Christmas
like
next
like
month.
I did last.
So
like I
we
did-
need you to
What
wrap
page
it
are
up.
we on?
Yeah.
We're on
So, Mr.
page-
Chair, Employee Service Awards, we started it up again since
Yes,
COVID.
These are all good things.
Weekly employee newsletter, not only in the regular, there's employee newsletters going. Again, why? To morale, really love your company and move. Safety Award of Excellence, again, we made the Safety Award, second place this year. This is against national APPA companies. Expanding intern programs, again, we have the cybersecurity, accounting, other interim programs where we bring in the Department of Labor, We graduated 16, and the 16 or more are graduating in early this coming year. And actually, the announcement, if not out already, out tomorrow for the next cycle that we're going to hire for apprenticeship. Maybe we're hiring close to 30 additional personnel to train again, and maybe more underground.
As people leave.
Yes, so more underground system and other thing. Labor Day, very successful. GPA, GWA always come out and
Okay, John.
really
Let's get back to
The
wrapping
big
it up.
stuff,
The big stuff.
stuff.
We know
Consent
the
decree.
companies.
organizing, optimizing use of technology.
Okay.
I mean, you look at it, we're digital. Everything is pretty much still. We're social media. You're seeing all those different things occur for us. GPSE,
Keep doing better and
newsletter.
better things, yes.
John,
Yeah.
we're current on our consent decrees, no issues with US EPA, Department of Justice
No,
on the
we're
consent
working
decrees?
with them on the change of the
Timing.
the timing. no?
Right, right.
So,
Because Marwar has
yeah.
delayed
The
Ukudu
plan.
Ukudu solution.
And so again, we're trying to get all, it's taking a little bit of time to get all that information, but we're working to get that all done with them. So we're okay. Cybersecurity, there's a lot of information there I don't go through. We even had a conference for it. And actually, we had everyone under the sun in this conference, from the military to all of that. And again, hats out to the team. Customer service, again, we took care of putting out the rebates. Energy efficiency, we're actually coming up with audits so we can help audits and all of that. But again, it cannot say really we're not customer focused. No? We're very customer focused. Portable rate on a sustainable basis and customer centric.
Okay.
And going down the line, award of excellence. We had print and digital. What we're showing the public is being recognized and awarded. The American Public Power Association saying, "Hey, you're really transparent and communicating with your public, with your customers." Empowering energy conservation, energy office. We're working well, getting those done. Outreach. We've been going to school career days. We've been trying to reach again to get to the students to come out curious, empower. We're starting early. We know we have to go to the school. So these are things that are not said out there, but is happening throughout the organization. There's your recovery plan, Mr. Chair. We are working on this, and
Make further improvements.
we're making further improvements, and I'll have a report for you in January as to where we are. The latest thing, of course, is we're going out on emergency procurement now for the 41 megawatt. The CCU has approved that. It's not as easy as just plug and play, because now we have to work with you, Guam EPA and US EPA on permitting of these issues. So this is a very complicated process that the team are going through, and I think you saw us yesterday. Really, Mr. Chair, you came in and you saw us working on the board to get that done. But we're working to make these things happen. And again, the good news is right now, tap on wood, we've been able to minimize, mitigate load shedding. Of course, the weather is helping, but we'll continue to move forward. Media campaigning, again, we try. Why are we pointing out water heaters and all of that? We're planting the seed. The seed is such that later on we could provide incentives for load management, where we can control your water heater when we need it, but we'll reduce your rate, peak of time, use of peak of. So that's coming down the road. So again, we are, moving. Long-term capacity, again, there's phase 4. There's the Wild that we're looking at, of course, consent decree. We are working on a virtual power plant. Sometime next year we'll get that out, but we have to put all these things together. Mr. Chair, dockets approved by the PUC. I think if you look at all the lists there, how many times I've been to the PUC, throughout the year. So again, these are all, the CCU approves, the PUC approves, and
is all
I'm
part
not
of
complaining, but again,
Yeah. it's all part
the
of
effort has to be seen, right? Because,
And you've got good people helping you, John.
yeah,
You got
I have
that.
a very,
Okay.
I mean, let it not in no uncertain term, I cannot do this work without the team that I have, no? Even the preparation of this, my team really put in, say, make it easier, put in the numbers here for you to try and look at. I didn't do that.
Okay.
But they, presentations, again, you can look, and again, Department of Defense, everyone, the latest one, like I said, is that the Air Force Office of Energy Assistant and the Office of Secretary of Defense Cost Assessment and Program Evaluation Team. They're not here because they will come here and take a look at all of these scenarios that we're looking at. No? Consent decree, again, we've done all that. We're working on the Mawar scenario. This is what we've done and completed and continue to move forward. Our
John,
recovery.
on the consent decree, just a short note.
Yeah.
If Mauer had not happened, we wouldn't have to be doing a lot of stuff.
No.
You know, that,
We're
so
almost
that's an
there.
act of God.
Yeah.
But we're still working on it.
No,
And
we're covering
not-
our feet.
We're covering stuff, so.
Yeah, the
Okay.
power plant they already, maybe it's on the second level now. They're building already
Fuel tanks
the fuel tanks.
and the
So,
other water tanks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typhoon Mower, again, there's a lot of information there. We got how fast we got GMH Moon Bay. Remember, the underground for Moon Bay now provides that. APPA awards, this is not a local John Beneventi award. This is the American Public National of all the public utilities. Smart Energy Provider, Excellence in Public Communication Awards in both print and digital and social web. Second place Safety Award. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
anyway, it was, I have one award. So, but,
Okay.
I wanted you to smile, John.
Eh?
Smile for me.
oh yeah, it wasn't, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, before we were born?
The original.
Real quick, John B, I was down in Guam yesterday, and I see that, our street lights are, street lights down there are solar powered, and I understand those are not ours.
no, it's a GBB to put that
I
in.
understand that, but how? They
Well-
own the poles?
Oh, yeah.
No, they own the poles and the lights there,
Okay, good.
It's
and
them.
the
No, no,
street
it's them.
lights.
Okay.
And right now they actually have a central area where a whole bunch of lights are controlled by that. So they're doing by meter. But then the solar lights are not metered now.
Yeah.
But they only have it on one half right now, on the other half. So I think they're looking at it. I think they're just testing it out maybe right now because
Might be a pilot project for them, which is
Yeah.
good.
It's up. I mean,
You
it's
know,
there, it's
Hey,
working.
listen,
Yeah.
last night.
if they take off the
the
load.
thing is the issue now is the battery system whether it's adequate because 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, dark.
Oh,
And that was brought up to me by the mayor of Tamuning. And I saw it actually on December 8th going to Mass.
Yeah.
So I think either they have to readjust that, but the battery system may not be
The
adequate.
concern that was raised to me was there is a correlation between the kind of traffic fatalities that we're having and the lack of lighting along that stretch from, they say it's basically front gate Anderson all the way down Deddy Doe. And I said, okay, so if we can take a look at, we can put some more lights, put some more street lights, just to, anything we can do from our end.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Because
think-
that's a
I agree. I think what I'll do is I'll send our engineering team really to just make an assessment because right now we not depend what DPW is the customer, so they ask
Right.
where. But I think what we'll do is we'll take the extra step.
take the initiative and send our team out because
and evaluate and then make a recommendation.
Really dark.
So from that from that
Yeah.
recommendation, they can fund it, no, or we can, but at least we can.
I mean, I'm sorry, taxpayers pay the streetlight fund. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, there's two sides of it, right? There's the main road, and then there's what we want in our villages.
Right.
And, I think if you ask them to balance, let's take care of the main roads first before we go into our villages. So if you can, take our team out there and say, drive out there and really take a look. And
We can do that now because we even have the GPS. Every pole we know, every light we know, so they can study that and just say, make a recommendation.
I think, John,
good point.
that's a good point, but the other side, the flip side of that is, you reduce the cost per pole, per streetlight to the government of Guam because of the LED
Right,
lights.
right.
So, that's allowed the government
To
to
do
say,
more poles.
put more lights up. Now, the thing is, after Mawar, we had some damage.
Yep.
The arms are out, the mitigation.
So our inventory will be coming in and
Yeah,
we will
so
put
I
them
know
out
you're
there.
working, you and your team are working on it. It's a timing thing,
Yeah.
but you're gonna have to get out and get there.
We may need to just work with DPW. I'm with Commissioner Santos that, okay, maybe there's a need for more poles. And if
More
we can
lights,
work, poles would get you lights, right?
Yeah.
And need more poles/lights. And also if it's federally funded, right, the lighting requirements for federally funded roads is very specific with the halo and the kind of lights we've put in, right? But maybe we can sit with DPW, look forward and say, okay, what would, after you do your review, what would be better for our consumers, right? And if we need X more poles/lights, work together, see if we can figure it out. I mean, I know the governor is proposing, the liquid fuels tax extension, but DPW does get funding from the vehicle, when you register your vehicle. And if we can stretch that money, or maybe we
have
kind of
stretched it, but we can stretch it more.
front more poles and get money back, let's maybe come up with a plan, and then we can see what's the best way to implement it.
Okay.
And
I have
fund it.
one more thing, Mr. Chair.
Sure, go ahead, John.
I'd say a couple more things. So, one, and then I'm done. One, again, thanks to the efforts of our Vice Chair, help DOE, no? And so
just have breakfast with them.
where we are today is we have given them
Water bill?
the specifications for the bid or for the RFP
For their solar.
for a performance management contractor to again provide the DOE with the management
Expertise.
and engineering expertise for them to do their and to do the maintenance utilizing the employees of DOE just like we do today. Our employees have a management team with a budget of about $25 million a year, and with the performance management contractor bringing in a financing capability of about 25 to 50 million. So you get things done, 25 million
And
work,
pay it back over
and
time.
pay it over 5 years. So that is our recommendation. The second one is that they appoint like a deputy superintendent for facilities. It cannot be just a manager, supervisor of here because he or she never gets to the table to make decision. But they have to have a lockbox of 25 million. So there is a what you call it,
I think
acknowledgement that they want to do it, and we've given them that, and we're moving over to do the procurement. So I'll be writing them a letter saying, hopefully they go through in January. And as you can see, the frustration of our vice chair, but we've done all the work. It's all there, no? Yeah.
John,
Exactly.
part of the problem, and this is something that we need our ratepayers and our people of Guam to understand, is that in managing facilities, maintaining facilities, building facilities, you need people who are engineers, you need people who have project management experience. I mean, you need people like you and your engineers that back you up and your technical staff to do projects, to do multi-million-dollar projects. Same thing with waterworks. They do a project, the upgrade for Northern Treatment was $133 million. That somebody has to manage that, and that to me is a critical shortage in the part of the government of Guam, like DOE. They don't have that talent. Every hotel on Guam has that talent. Believe me. I saw an advertisement the other day for somebody to run a hotel's facilities inside, because they're a mini city. Manage their power, their AC, their water facilities, and they specified in there that successful person, not only be a PE, but he must have program management experience. How to manage programs, how to manage from beginning of getting the funding, identifying the project, getting the funding. You can't just hire a consultant and say, do it, because I'm really concerned that, you need to have that level of oversight that we have here at both GPA and GWA.
And then,
But keep trying, John. Keep
yeah,
trying.
the other one is, I want to assure you that
Do what we can.
GMH also, we have an MOU, and every month or every quarter, our supervisors meet with their supervisors and look through the electrical facilities now. I know they're, again, I think they're working on their chiller, and we've worked with them that they can only put so many split levels, otherwise but again, I just want to let you know that we do work
No,
with
John,
the
we know you're
community.
trying. We know you're trying.
Yeah, and we try. Yeah.
Try.
Wanting to do this, right?
But
And those are appointed boards, right, at GMH and DOE, right? Appointed.
But
I guess for us, John, when we look down the road, the other thing that's coming up, right, is all of a sudden there's an increase in private companies wanting to put solar into their operations, and the docket, I guess it's this month, it's on the docket, right? The meeting, right?
I think I'm not sure this month or the next year, but you see, I think the record needs to be straight in that really, first of all, we have to integrate all of this into the system, which is what we're trying to do today, right? You cannot just plug and play, because you're now impacting others. Next night, if we get to avoided costs, right, which is the fuel component, then you're not, the rest of the ratepayers, the 50,000 are not subsidizing the 2,000 customers or 3,000 customers. Because it cannot be in it that we keep saving here, and then it's just going to solar PV who are saving all that. Because they're getting the 10 cents a kilowatt hour. They're not paying for debt. They're not paying for
The grid.
the employees' compensation. So that's what just before the PUC. If you let it avoid it cost, then whatever it costs
all
for
we're
fuel, if
and that's happening in
we
other
don't burn the
jurisdictions.
fuel, they're saving, and
We have
it's
the
helping
oldest
the
NEM
community.
policy in the world.
Yeah.
So that's why. So I'm not against going from 100 to 500. I'm not against going, but it's the cost, it's the subsidy, it's the credit component. If we settle that, then hey,
That and time of use, right?
Yeah,
We'll get more
time of
sophisticated. Then
use,
we
everything
reward
like
you for
that,
when
right?
you use your power.
and as you know, remember the schools. If they had done that to the schools, the subsidy would have gone from the 5 million today to about 15 to 20 million. Where am I going to find 15 to
not
20
fair to the other
million dollars
ratepayers.
without raising your rates?
The base rate.
Don't you see
Exactly.
that?
Yeah.
So that's why so I think you're correct within probably the first quarter. I think is what this coming year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay with us,
It's
as
okay
long as they
with
don't
us.
adversely impact the grid.
And
And when they need us, we can connect to them and they can use us when they need us, right?
But I've shown DOE. I'm sorry, sir, but I've shown DOE that really, if it's avoided cost, the way that they're gonna save money and really get is to continue to look for the grants. Of course, that's very, But if they're just trying to avoid put it in so that they can lower. When GPA gets to putting Okudu on and everything, they may be losing money over time by having to go out and contract for that, Because we have the economies of scale, but you understand what I mean, right? So I mean, we were very clear. I've given it, and we will work with them because I don't want DOE losing money, But at the same time, I mean.
They have far bigger issues than.
but no, anyway, John, thank you very much.
No,
And that's an
one
appointed
last
board,
thing,
right?
Mr.
More
Chair. You have one last thing, Mr. Chair.
2/3 of it is
Yeah,
appointed.
please go ahead and evaluate me,
They
no,
control.
and give me a number on but please don't give me an increase, no? Because
John, you're not asking for an increase in pay,
no,
despite all of this.
not now. I don't need an effort on the front page, management, you know. Come on, give me a break, if you will, right?
John,
Because we
we
work very
appreciate that.
hard,
Thank you.
and Mike, you know, so.
This is your
Anyway.
presentation, right, from you,
Thank
all
you.
right? But for the record, you are asking the CCU not to change your pay.
That's good.
You're volunteering to
You're
leave your pay.
volunteering. And again,
Okay,
I
thank
want
you.
the community to really, you know, not be anxious.
Okay.
Let's get over what we have to do.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
John.
you. Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot
Still
of
want
pa-
to, still
we
want to do the review, right?
Yeah, we still have to go through the review, so.
And then we do Miguel, right? Miguel's
What,
right.
any suggestion? You had a thought?
Oh, go
What do
ahead.
you want to do?
Okay.
John, you over the many years have invited me to sit on this board. I take pride in that.
Hey, you day.
We have probably the two best GMs working in this government.
Yeah. So,
Given what John B. just told us, that despite all that he has done with his team and himself, willing to forego
any increase, but we still need to recognize his effort. That's what we should do.
When you put together a presentation like this, to me, it's John B's performance, is in some cases exceptional given what we just faced. We have all sat in the meetings with FEMA on your side, aside from our restoration that we all went through and watched.
some meetings where Joey and I were on the daily briefings that he and Steve had. Hey, we haven't had a storm in 20 years. We maybe took some of this for granted.
But we still recovered faster after Marwar than we did after Pong Sanwa. The difference between an appointed board not supporting the utilities and having ratepayers select their board of directors. And you can't be more accountable than being elected.
I mean, for me, in terms of rating John, I don't know if that's a requirement, Mr. Chairman, on this. I think I would give John, somewhere between an exceptional and above satisfactory recommendation.
So what you can do is, we can say the rating would be like a 4%?
Why don't we
I mean, 4 points?
just go through it for, I mean,
Well,
because there might
okay.
be areas where we say, John, more improvement, communication, right, things like that.
Okay.
But
But-
I'm with you, I don't think we need to, I mean, let's just, we've got a presentation,
go
we've
down.
done this
At
least we
before.
have some-
Let's go
we have
down.
some numbers.
And
Let's
let's just
let's
do
put
it,
numbers
finish the
down.
process, finish the process.
do the
right?
numbers.
And then we can,
Start on page 4, obviously, right?
Yes, page 4.
that's managing
Okay.
operations, right?
Yeah, now some of these are, fairly routine. We expect them and,
And this is posted to the website, right? Both his presentation and our review, our summary review will be posted to the website, so everyone can see. And we're doing it in public.
Okay. This
Let's
is
go through it.
To ensure 1.1.1.
Okay.
Yes,
Everybody
okay.
score it, and then,
Mr. Daly,
okay. And this is 30%, managing operations, 30% of his score.
right. So,
So do you want to score them ourselves and then just present?
Just
like
what
how
we always
did?
did, just what.
Yeah.
Chair, you run
Yeah.
your own table?
yeah, well,
Okay.
what we do is we score them, we give it to John Ray, and he's gonna do the thing.
Okay.
Why don't we go ahead
So
and
just
do that
go
and then,
through it on your own,
Yeah, okay.
Commissioners.
Okay.
Uh,
You want to go down the criteria quickly? So just so the
No,
public,
no, no.
just so the
Well-
public knows.
Well,
How-
we're gonna
how
post it.
Okay, okay.
We're gonna post it. And I mean, it's nice when we post it, the people will know. Okay. Okay. John Ray,
There you go. Can do the math.
start with my, or,
Start with the chairman's and
you finished yours, right? Yeah. Hold on. You know, John Ray, out of curiosity, the last time we evaluated John B. as a general manager, we gave him an increase of 2% or 3%. Do you remember? Just to show. I think it's important. Yeah, what was the percentage? 4%. So I think this is important to show that, you know, we do normal increases, and commissioners, what happens is, you know, we don't wait 10 or 20 years and then give a 22% increase or 5%.
Across the board.
Across the board, you know. So last time we rated him, I think excellent.
He got a 4%.
He got a 4% increase in pay.
Yeah.
That's not a huge increase in pay.
And it did not result in an increase in the base.
And it did not result in us asking the ratepayers to pay more. Okay, the only thing that we asked them to pay more for is the gas.
It's fuel. And when
It's the
fuel goes down, they charge them less.
Yeah. Yeah. Recycle. They can recycle. While we're waiting for the scoring, I took it upon myself to, just for the commissioners to understand. Here, pass that down. This is something that I wanted to do. I've been wanting to do. So to give us a picture, okay, we have for our generators, okay, and our solar farms, you have the cost, and the cost is broken down into non-LEAC and LEAC. So for example, Cabras 1 and 2 right now, the fuel cost is around 29 cents. There's a fuel handling charge, and then the cost to produce is 2 cents. It's low because why? It's all the debt's paid, everything's paid, so that's all that's left on it. But it's the two machines that are going out. If you look at PD 8 and 9, again.
And those are 32 and 31, right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
The Cabras 1 and 2 cost.
The cost is total 32 and 31
cents a kilowatt hour.
Kilowatt hour.
Okay.
When you look at PD 8 and 9, again, the non-LEAC cost, because those debts have been paid off.
These are the PPP, right?
These are the PPPs.
With Osaka Gas,
With
now
Osaka Gas,
MEC.
but we got them back, we got them. The debt's gone.
Right.
So
They're just running it for
you're
us.
just the management, the maintenance, the O&M for now.
It's 24.
But the 21 cents is the cost of the fuel.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
It's more fuel efficient, because it's more fuel
It's a
efficient.
little more fuel efficient than, but these are not really super fuel efficient. Look at Okadu. These are the projected costs.
Gonna go down
Now,
even
the non-LEAC cost is high. It's 6 cents because we're paying off debt. So for this period of time, for the next 25 years, there's a cost of that. But the fuel is 17 cents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's getting close to the goal of 15 cent LEAC.
Versus 29
Every
at Cabras
29
1 and 2.
And 21. And then you look at KEPCO. The solar farm is, I rounded up, 9 cents, okay? The solar farm is 9 cents. There's no cost to produce because it's not ours.
Right.
All it is
We're just paying for the energy.
they're paying for the energy. That's all you're doing.
Same with Dundon.
That's same with Dundon. But Dundon is the first stab we took.
8 years ago.
Yeah, and you know,
Prices have come down.
We were just trying to do something new.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 cents, but that's 20 cents for a long time.
Well, it shows you how much solar has dropped just since Dundon.
Between Dundon
because
and
of the
KEPCO.
technology.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I mean, John is right. We're hoping that these new bids come in. If they come in 15 or below, we're doing good.
And remember, the new bids have batteries with them. Remember,
Yes.
Dundon did not have batteries,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So but the batteries are going to be a key piece
Okay.
of
Well,
being
KEPCO
able to
has the
shift.
solar.
Right,
But it's the solar more to
yeah. But
batteries
it's just for
to-
intermittency, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, but John B. was actually told me he was able to get some of
Shifting?
that. Because at the end of the day,
If they have some
if they have
residual,
some residual in the batteries,
they send it in.
he sends it,
Okay.
they send it in.
But the
Okay?
future solars are all going to have batteries, and
Yes.
that's going to really help the ratepayers.
Okay, So, but what I'm trying to say is, if you look at that, now Dedito 1 and 2, these are high.
Yep.
This 38 cents for fuel. Again, 1 cent because it's all paid off.
Yeah.
It's just painting it once in a while, okay?
This is why we don't want to run the peakers. This is why you want solar with battery for shifting.
Yes, and Ukudu.
And Ukudu, because it just uses less fuel.
Yeah,
Period.
Ukudu comes very close to the Dandan Solar.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, when you pay off the debt
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
17.
it's
Just
gonna
the
be
energy
17.
side of it, it's 17.
Yes, the energy side. Okay, so Machete is 34 cents. Pretty good, not bad, but you don't want to run these. PD7 is the high one.
Yep.
That's 41 cents.
Yep.
That's very inefficient. The Jigo diesels, not too bad, but again, we don't want to run these.
Our goal is we won't be
goal-
running these. Once
our-
Ukudu is built,
Once Okudu's built and we get more solar on, we're not running these.
And it's like you said, Mr. Chair, we keep, some of these smaller ones will probably just retire over time, but Ukudu, even if we're at 100% renewable, if you ever need it, you just fill it up, it'll have gas, and you run it until the renewables get put back
And
online.
you know what? The power coming out of Okudu will be charging batteries.
Exactly.
So that you have backup to the backup. So a lot of these will go away over time.
Yep.
As we get more and more solar and solar batteries in, a lot of these will go away.
And let's not forget the legislative interference, which allowed, the Ukudu plant would have given us another 40 to 50 megawatts at a great price, but because some senator thought he was smarter than everybody else, we lost that opportunity,
Yep.
right? And that was generation, which is what everyone is frustrated about with the load shedding. We would have had this in addition to what already is being done at Ukudu.
So I just thought I'd put this
You
together.
should put this on the record, Mr. Chair, on the next, maybe the January meeting, have the
Sure.
team added. I think and maybe this is something with John, we can say, John, have the team begin to think about this, synthesize this, and present,
As we go
this
forward.
snapshot is an excellent snapshot of generation.
Right.
And the cost of generation and how we're migrating from more expensive generation to less expensive generation. Adding the
renewable.
solar and reducing the amount of fuel we burn, because that's what's going to lower the
Cleaning
power bill.
environment,
And it'll be
everything,
clean.
Everything.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent snapshot.
okay.
Thank you,
Just
Mr.
just for your, huh?
You know, this PD7,
Yeah.
so there's two generators there, 28 and 39?
No. No, I'm not good with technology. The Jigo is the one that's 31. PD7 is 41. Okay, I'm not, unfortunately, this person doesn't do well with technology, and I'm not good when it comes to Excel.
Looks good.
So I don't line them up perfectly, but I think if you, I'm sorry, but
good enough,
not
Mr.
good
Chair.
with, I'm not a technology. My grandson could have done this a lot better, but unfortunately, he's not taught
We
me
can't
that
hire
part.
him yet, right?
We can't hire him, but and he hasn't taught his grandfather. But so that's why,
No, but it's an excellent summary, Mr. Chairman.
Except for my uncle.
yeah,
That's it.
okay. So,
This is very good.
John Ray, how are we doing? Are we almost done?
Want a little 5-minute recess?
5-minute recess? Okay, 5-minute recess, then we'll announce and we'll go
So
to
moved,
the
Mr.
next
Chair.
one. Okay, motion to, 5-minute recess? Move. Aye, second?
yeah.
Peter Roy? Second. Aye, 5-minute recess. Thank you. Ready, guys? Okay, we're back live again. For the record, there are 4 commissioners in the meeting, in the room, and we have scored now our general manager for GPA, and I'll just go to the bottom line. His score is 3.91, which is just that exceeds. No, it's above satisfactory. Okay, and we have to do this properly. He offered to forgo a pay raise. So what's the decision of the commission? We accede to his. Yeah.
Well, if there's no pay raise, no motion is needed.
Yeah.
But for the record, John Benavente voluntarily said no matter what his rating was, and he rated that he is above satisfactory in our cumulative score, that notwithstanding his rating, he would not request any adjustment in pay.
So as a commission, we accept his offer. Okay? Regretfully. No. I'm acknowledging that he's worth the money that we have. That's one thing we have to say. You can't get to where we are without good leadership.
Well, and I credit John. I mean, people are frustrated. I get it. And when you're the captain of the ship, sometimes you have to think about, you think about everybody. And John said, hey, in light of this environment and all the frustration, he was willing to forgo any possibility of pay adjustment. He didn't want the commission to consider a pay adjustment. He voluntarily asked not to have a pay adjustment.
So at this portion of our meeting, we're still in one meeting. We're not changing meetings. But we acknowledge the recusal of Commissioner Santos, and he will not be involved in the evaluation for Miguel Bordalio, who's the general manager for GWA.
Due to a family relationship. Right.
To a family relationship.
And similarly with Commissioner Limtiaco?
Yeah, well, Commissioner Limtiaco also will not be involved in this one.
He wasn't involved in either
general
John B.'s or Miguel's due to a family relationship.
Yes.
He has recused himself, as
From
Commissioner
both.
Santos has
Yes.
recused himself.
Thank you, colleagues.
Okay, thank you very much.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Francis.
If I don't, Francis?
We'll connect before you go.
Yeah, okay, because I'll be coming back later, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Okay. We're missing, what's her name? Get Zena, because we need the score sheet,
Oh, score sheet, yeah.
the one that we marked up
Yeah.
next. We need to do that so we can turn it in and
Yeah.
at the end.
Okay. Good. A good
That's mine.
presentation.
No problem.
Yeah, that's mine. I got my COVID shot, I got my flu shot. I don't know why people don't get their shots. I'm a little nervous because I found out there's this RVSV or something, and I'm going, what? We're still live, I know. That's okay, the public can hear. I got my shots.
We're shot
But
experts.
I'm still
We're experts in
using
being
my mask.
Manumco and getting
What is
shots.
the RV? Or what is that?
There's another respiratory
Virus or?
something virus.
I see.
And so I'm looking at that. I saw it on the news, and I'm going, "What the heck's that?" I'm an old guy. I'm trying to stay alive. Hey, where's the score sheet? Dina? You know the KPIs?
Yep.
No. The KPIs. That one. Yeah. So that we can mark our scores. You only need 3. Okay. Joining our meeting right now is General Manager Miguel Bordalio from Guam Waterworks Authority. Miguel, the way we're going to do this, we're going to give you the floor. You tell us everything, and then we'll score. Okay?
Okay, sir.
So go ahead.
So I've provided 3 documents for you. The first
Okay.
is the large format spreadsheet, which lists the criteria and KPIs and the values that I've also included prior years numbers for reference.
Okay.
And then the narrative supplement for certain of the performance criteria, which are better explained in narrative form. As in years past, the narrative supplement has been updated to reflect fiscal year '23. And then the last one is a single-page supplemental list of accomplishments that is on the back sheet on the very end. That is something, I think, when Commissioner Guthertz was here, she requested, so I'm just keeping in with the historical documentation that's been provided, so I've included that.
And Mr. Chair, as we asked John B., we'll ask Miguel, when you can, since this is in public, your review's in public, your scoring's in public, the materials you provide, let's also put on our
We display this.
Our website.
Yeah, no problem. This will be posted.
everybody see the complete
So
picture.
I think if it please the commission, I can just go through
Go
the
through your
spreadsheet, and then when we need to refer
No.
to the narrative, I'll just ask you to flip over
Okay.
to the narrative document.
Thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
So for 1.1, reliability of water and wastewater systems, 1.1.1 is reduction in frequency or duration of outages, and there's 3 criteria there. The first is main breaks per month, and for fiscal year 23, that number on average has gone to 2, down 1 from 3 the prior year.
And down from 5.9 the year before that.
And this is a
correct.
mainline break, right? This would be
Correct.
a huge main, okay.
As reported through the Water System Control Center.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, item 2, is post-storm outages, average days per location, and because we had Typhoon Mawar, this value is at 14.7, up significantly from the prior
From the
3
zero.
years where we had no outages due to storms. Similarly, item 3 in this category, post-storm outages, max day duration. At all locations, 29 was the number of days it took us to fully restore the entire system, and so that's the max day duration for fiscal year 23.
That was significantly faster than the Pong San Hua recovery.
Although I was not here for that, I believe that's
Yeah, at least I shared with you and the commission, the Pacific Daily News had an excellent summary after Pong San Hua of the recovery. And clearly, the recovery after Marwar was even better for water than it was for power.
Power, yeah.
I mean, it was excellent in terms of the recovery. So good job to our team and to you.
And to you.
The next item, 1.12, water boost and pump station reliability. I report this to you monthly. So for the average for the year of fiscal year 23, we were at 95.4% operability, up from 93.1% average the prior year.
And that's even in spite of Mawar.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the number continues to be affected by our ongoing bypass work. So we have, if you recall, still reservoir tank repairs that are happening in the south. And so on those systems, the booster pump stations are more critical and cover a larger area because we're bypassing the tank. Right?
Okay.
1.1.3, reduction in frequency or duration of SSOs. This number averaged 5.9%, 5.9 SSOs monthly for fiscal year 23, down from 6.3 per month on the prior year.
I want to point it down from 10 5 years ago.
And 19,
And
14 in 2019.
It's a significant reduction.
Yeah,
And these are overflows for the public. These are overflows of the wastewater system.
Yeah,
Correct.
into the streets.
correct.
Yeah, okay.
Sewer pump station reliability is 1.14. That is at 86.8%, down from 87.4% the prior year. And again, this is a number that I report to the board monthly.
Okay.
I've indicated to you that we've had issues with keeping our pumps operating, and we do not yet have the same inventory set points and pumps in inventory on the wastewater side that we do on the water side. So we're working on improving that. 1.1.5, production well reliability, we have 89 on average for fiscal year 23, 89 wells operational. That's down from 93 in fiscal year 22.
So that's affected by Mawar.
Yes, and the power issues that we've been having. Accordingly, the number of wells on standby has also decreased This is down to one well on standby, and you can see that's the highest we've ever been is having 9 wells on standby in fiscal year 20, so it's down significantly. And crews are working daily to replace those burnt-out pumps and motors. On 1.1.6, wastewater treatment plant reliability, the criteria is upgrades for MPDS permit compliance. We are at 75%, so the lone remaining wastewater treatment plant that is not at secondary treatment does not meet permit requirements, but it does meet the court order, 2011 court order discharge requirements. Okay. Right, and it won't meet the secondary treatment requirements until it gets upgraded. 1.1.7, maintain service pressure levels. If you flip to the narrative on page 1 and 2, I cover the service pressure levels, and the text in red and the table has been added since the last evaluation. So since we don't have a numeric metric here, the information presented is intended to support the criteria or our progress with the criteria. So for the projects that are listed or bulleted items that are listed, these are initiatives that we've undertaken to improve pressure levels within the system, and the pressure zone realignment is a major component of that. We've completed phase 1 to about 94%. I think actually we're done with the majority of the scope, and the remaining 6% is just some change orders to take care of minor things. The phase 2, the design is 100% complete, and the construction is pending the issuance and finalization of bidding. And phase 3, the design is at about 55% as of the end of fiscal year 23. We are also, as I mentioned earlier, working on tank bypass and repair. That construction work is ongoing mostly at the southern reservoirs right now, which has temporary effects on pressures within the service area. But we have used regular distribution system monitoring, and I've taken the data that's been provided and analyzed it to give you a snapshot of what our performance is with regard to pressures within the distribution system. And we are within range at 45% of the identified pressure management zones. 28% are partially within range, which means that of all the readings taken within that zone, we have several that are in range, but 1 or 2 that are outside the range on occasion. And so that's the 28%. And then we have 10% of the zones where we're either below or above the range of acceptable pressures. And then we have 10 zones where we don't yet have regular monitoring to report. So those ones are 17% I don't have data to provide you on yet.
Okay.
Okay. So moving on to page 2 of the spreadsheet. 1.2 is compliance of water and wastewater systems. 1.2.1 compliance with drinking water standards, and the KPIs for that are the number of NOVs per year, 0 for fiscal year 23, as it has been since I've been here. The second item is consumer confidence report, drinking water quality report results, and our issuance of those reports has been on time, again, for fiscal year 23. We've issued those and mailed those out. Those are the flyers that you get once a year with our complete water quality data. 1.2.2, compliance with effluent discharge permit requirements. Again, this relates to the secondary treatment. And if you go to the narrative on pages 2 and 3, I provide you with a summary of that. And, essentially, you all know this. We have 3 of 4 upgrades to secondary treatment completed, with Northern District being the last one that we did. Hagåtña wastewater treatment plant, we have concluded the compliance negotiations under the consent decree and provided a little more definition to the time frame for upgrades. Once that consent decree gets lodged, then we'll be able to discuss it publicly. appreciate.
That consent decree should be lodged sometime this month or early January?
I've been asking council to check. They anticipate before the end of the year, so I was hoping it would be done by
Sure.
by
You get it for
January.
Christmas. Okay.
Okay, 1.2.3, maintaining internal QA/QC processes. Again, this is in the narrative section on page 3. So we have implemented some initiatives, which we've already talked about in prior evaluations. The new information is on, as I mentioned, in red text. So when I came on board, in order to provide better quality control over all of our operational activities, the board had tasked me with assembling AGM positions in the executive management team. And I'm glad to report that we have finally completed that tasking, and the AGM of engineering position was filled in fiscal year 23. And so we now are have much better scope of span of control over all of our operational divisions. And in addition, we have for the QA/QC positions with organization-wide oversight, the safety officer is currently acting as the field safety officer. The safety inspector supervisor, I should say, is currently acting as the field safety officer. And for the field compliance officer, we began an initiative with compliance and safety and engineering to provide support for that role, to have field QA/QC of compliance at all of our facilities prior to Guam EPA and US EPA inspections. So that has started in fiscal year 23, and just this past month I brought on additional compliance and safety personnel to assist with that effort. So there's been additional bodies added to this effort to improve our QA/QC for compliance. And then, of course, the SOP committee is continuing its regular work to tighten up our SOPs and improve our standards. Moving on to 1.2.4, customer compliance programs. There are 4 items in this category. Number 1 is fog inspections per year. That is up to 196 from the prior year at 138. The second item is SSOs due to fog by year. That number for fiscal year 23 is down to 20 from the prior year at 31. So we're showing some improvement there. On the cross-connection control program, we have 47 inspections conducted this year, as opposed to 77 the prior year. And I would point out that we have 1 person in this program, and during MOAR and the post-recovery period, or the recovery period, I should say, this 1 person was responsible for handling all the complaints that came in during the governor's declared water conservation period, right? So anybody that called in and complained about anybody using water when they shouldn't have been, this person was tasked to go out and do the inspections. So that impacted his workload somewhat, and then the fact that businesses were closed for a while also reduced the number of inspections that were conducted this year. But the program still is making progress. Item number 4 is the number of notices to comply and notices of violation issued by the cross-connection control program per year, and that is accordingly down 30 to 36 from the prior year at 49. And then 1.2.5 is a criteria for meeting court order and consent decree requirements. This number has not changed. We are still at 98.9%. I report this to you monthly. And in terms of items completed per year, we are at, our total completed items are 92 out of 93. So we're just remaining, the 1 remaining item, which is the tank work, which we are in the process of completing.
Do you have the contracts out already in those?
We have moved beyond the contractual, making sure all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. So we've already submitted it to them for signature, and then it comes to me for signature.
Okay, so you're ready to execute
Yeah,
soon?
yes.
Okay, good.
1.3, system safety, security, and resiliency is the next category. We have 1.3.1, improvement of physical security. The KPI here is theft incidents by year, as reported to our safety department. This is up 18 from the prior year of 12. So there was a little bit of an increase. We still do have the same level of personnel and contractual support for security purposes, but we have seen some damage to our
Our facility.
perimeter fencing and that kind of thing. 1.3.2 is improving cyber security. There are three factors here, or three items here. Employees trained by year. This is at 341, about level with what we had the year before, 349 employees trained on cybersecurity. Number 2 is cyber incidents reported by year. This is at 0, level with last year. And then number 3 is the number of or percentage of findings resolved from our 2018 cyber assessment. And as of the end of 23, we're at 90% of those findings were resolved, and I think the board is probably aware that we have done additional work in terms of assessing our performance with cybersecurity since that 2018 assessment. So these metrics will be updated with the next evaluation. 1.3.3, ensuring a safe work environment. The metric there is OSHA reported incidents, and we had 2 this year for fiscal year 23, same level with the prior year, but down 1 from the 2 years back. So we're kind of maintaining our performance. And you can see over the years, it's right in that range. 1.3.4, maintain emergency response plan and readiness. Moving to the narrative on pages 3 and 4. Not too much has changed in this specific KPI. However, with post-war, as I advised the board in the after action report, the written after action report, we are in the process of updating our emergency response plan based on lessons learned from Mawar, and the same thing goes for 1.3.5, the continuity of operations plan. So the updates of those are in progress. 1.3.6, improving water resource and aquifer protection. Moving to the narrative on pages 4 and 5. The board is aware at the end of last year, we signed the One Guam Water Resource Information Program, MOA, with the Navy and WERI. And USGS, of course, is also involved. And with our CIP, we provided 7 new deep observation wells and rehabilitated 12 of the existing observation wells to expand that monitoring network. The MOA was the follow-on to that to cover the monitoring and execution on an annual basis of the data collection that is required for us to monitor the health of the aquifer and improve our use of the water resources. So that effort continues, and the work on instrumenting and monitoring of these wells is ongoing by WERI and USGS.
Okay.
Moving on to 1.4, capital improvement program and system renewals. 1.4.1 is relates to the water resource master plan. Item 1 is the status of water resource master plan reviews or updates. Fiscal year 23 is the 5-year anniversary for
A review and update?
it's time for a review, an update, sorry, to the water resource master plan. That is currently ongoing. It was supposed to have been done by the end of the fiscal year, but because of Mawar and other issues, it's been pushed back a little bit. We're anticipating that the final draft will be completed end of December, early January, and we need that, in fact, in order to update our 5-year CIP for the next 5-year rate plan. So that work is ongoing for both the master plan and the 5-year CIP. 1.4.2 is a metric of achieving our target CIP spending plan, and you can see the history there. The number in parentheses is the target based on our 5-year CIP. In this case, when we did the comprehensive review and update, and after we issued the Series 2020A bonds, this was updated to reflect the renewed spending plan, and so the numbers with the 2 asterisks are those updated targets. And you could see in 21, our target was 51.8 million. We overspent, or beat that. You built more at 84.5 million. In 2022, it was 52.6, and we actually built 73.5 million. However, in fiscal year 23, our target was 64.1 million, and we only put out 23.8 million. And I think what the board will see is in fiscal year 24, when we get these tank contracts done, and that number will shoot up. And I think that the reason why it's short this year is because it took us too long to get the bids in for the new tank projects, and so we're underspent a little bit. In addition, there were several projects that we put out that we did not get bids on because of the nature or the current climate within the construction market and the military buildup. So those are all factors.
Manpower.
But on average, I think we're
You're on track.
in prior years had built more than our goals, and in this year we're short. But it'll even out as we move forward. Some narrative information also under this item for IFCIP spending. That's on page 5 of the narrative supplement. And essentially what needs to be pointed out here is that the board had adopted in our 20-year master plan achieving a balance between debt financed capital and revenue financed capital, with the goal being that regular system renewals should be financed through revenue and not debt, right?
Yeah.
And that the debt financing should be saved, reserved for lumpy projects that are not amenable to being funded out of revenue.
Longer
Yeah, to control
asset life.
the costs and keep
Yeah.
services affordable, right? So, in red is the new information I just wanted to point out in terms of the revenue, the ability to fund internally funded CIP depends on revenue. And in the last 2 years of the 5-year plan, we were not provided with the revenue relief, the rate relief that we requested, and therefore the numbers for our IFCIP were not on target. 1.4.3, achieving water system expansion goals. There's a little bit of that on the narrative on page 5 and 6, and essentially covering the pipe replacement or pipe expansion work that we've been working on. So since last year, we've completed the Casimiro pipeline project. We're 86% on Ta'i Road and the Totocunyata Loop and Bloss Street project. And again, I think this is change order. Last remaining work for that has not yet been
Completed.
Actually, by this time, it's probably been completed. It's just not been built and closed out. So I left as of the end of fiscal year 23, that 86% was correct. Right, and then in terms of our pipe replacement programs that we identified, the 2-inch pipe replacement, the ACP pipe replacement, and the regular renewals called for in the master plan for those categories. We did in fiscal year 23 issue the contracts for those design projects, and the initial task orders have been negotiated, and we're just executing the contract documents for that. So those designs will be underway shortly. And that's also indicated under item 1.4.3, the items 2 and 3, you'll see there on the spreadsheet, that information is included. Next one is 1.4.4, wastewater system expansion goals. Again, on the narrative, we have some of that information on page 6. And essentially, it's reflecting our progress in the first project for the septic tank elimination program up in the Atacao area. In fiscal year 23, we encumbered $1.2 million for the design work to begin this project. We have already spent some of that for the preliminary activities for survey and geotechnical work, and the design is in process. And so by the end of this year, we hope to have that, end of this fiscal year, we hope to have that further along and about to head out for construction. In addition to that, one item in the narrative, another metric, item number 3, the sewer connection revolving fund active accounts, that stands steady at 3. As you know, we recently had a public hearing under the AAA to change the rules for the sewer loan connection program so that we can make it more attractive, get more customers to participate and connect to the sewer. So legal counsel is working on that. We did receive some comments, not at the public hearing, but after the public hearing, and so we're working on finalizing responses to those comments and the rules themselves. Next is 1.4.5, achieve non-revenue water loss reduction goals. And so there are 3 metrics here. The first one with the water loss control program, I've described in narrative form on pages 6 and 7. And to give you an update, we have for the pressure zone realignment project, again, which is part of our water loss control program. Phase 1, we're 94% complete, and we're in the process of bidding out or starting phase 2 construction. In terms of DMA implementation, we are now in year 3 of the 3rd year implementation. As of the end of fiscal year 23, that was year 2, we had a total of 21 of 36 DMAs that were being actively monitored, analyzed, and investigated with on-the-ground leak detection. We, as of the end of fiscal year 23, had established 2 permanent leak detection teams and have identified a leak detection lead who we are currently training with the consultant personnel to handle all of that once our consultants are no longer on board. And so we also intend in the current fiscal year to add 1 more leak detection team to round out the minimum number that we would need in order to provide the continuous leak detection on the distribution system. Our permanent DMA installations, in some sites, they require CIPs. So we have now a design contract in place for the design of those capital improvement projects to finalize the changes to piping, valving, and metering that need to occur within the system in order to get the remaining portion, the 15 or so DMAs left to be implemented within the next year or 2. So we continue to make progress there. We are also pilot testing right now a AMI metering solution, which would help us, and we're investigating if there is a possibility for us to include permanent leak detection monitors with the AMI meters, if and when we move forward with AMI metering. In addition to that narrative, there are some metrics. 2A, 2B relate to our water audit and the results of that. So our real non-revenue water by year, percentage by year for 23 is at 58%, down from 61% the prior year. The real losses are at 53%, down from 59% the prior year, and those are based on water audit calculations. I would like to point out that in our ordering provisions, the PUC has required us to report semi-annually to them on water loss control, and I would propose to the board that these KPI metrics be revised next year to reflect that the American Waterworks Association has already kind of as an organization, stopped recognizing non-revenue water percentages as a metric, as a performance metric for water loss control. They have recommended different metrics, which we have incorporated into our analytical study and our water loss control program, and that we now report to the PUC on a semi-annual basis. And those are as a metric for loss of gallons per connection per day. And in fiscal year 22, that number was 560. And for fiscal year 23, that's down to 448. These numbers are still high, but they are more nationally accepted metric for water loss control performance.
What was the AW, briefly, just the basis for them changing the way they were measuring it?
I think that there was agreement within the industry that the percentages are too heavily influenced by other factors other than just the losses. So
Like weather or stuff like that?
no,
or-
production, right, on the production side. So you could make gains in losses, but it won't be reflected in the percentage because of changes within your production. So they didn't feel that it was an accurate or appropriate metric for losses, and so that's why they proposed these new metrics, which everybody else is following.
And what is it, gallons per?
Gallons per connection per day, or gallons
interesting.
per mile of main is another one. But the one that was recommended by our consultants and included in our analytical study was gallons per connection.
And we went down, when you used that criteria in the past year, we have reduced?
Yes, we've reduced.
And what were the numbers again?
560 last year and 448 this year.
Wow, it's like almost a 20% reduction.
But still,
Using True.
need to get it down.
But I mean, I'm happy to see
Yeah,
20%
we're
reduction.
trending in the right direction,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And the size of the reduction is significant.
Yeah. And then the last item on this KPI is the leak repair work order backlog. And the average for fiscal year 23 was 7, backlog of 7 at the end of every day.
A few years ago, am I reading that right?
70, yeah, in
And
2018.
then when you stepped in, you got that into single digits, right?
Yes.
9, 6. Very good, Miguel. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 1.5, long-term strategic objectives. 1.51, on the narrative, we've got some information on this on page 7 and 8, and this essentially relates to the work that we are doing under the One Guam initiative for GWA and DOD's utility systems. And just, again, the new text, new developments are in red. We continue discussions on the feasibility of expanding Agate Santa Rita to accept wastewater generated at Naval Base Guam. That technical coordination continues to occur between Navy staff and GWA staff. And then in addition, in response to Typhoon Mawar resiliency concerns, there has been increased discussion on system redundancies, interconnections, and mutual supplies. And so to that end, we are advancing the metered connection at Marine Corps Base Camp Laws. So that has been done, and we're at the end of the year, fiscal year, we were in the process of transferring that meter from the contractor that has been working on that base to the Department of Defense. And so there may be, until they get their water system fully up and running, they've also advised that they would need the water sooner and they might need more of it, and so we are currently working on that. 1.5.2, improve our investment grade credit ratings. And I think the 3 rating agencies are listed there. There was good and bad news on this for fiscal year 23. We did manage to change the outlook on the Moody's rating. It stayed the same, but we changed the outlook from negative to stable. We were placed in negative after Mawar, and then when we met with them in early October, that had changed. So I know I'm reporting on fiscal year 23, but I think it's close enough that it's relevant to be pointed out that we did achieve a stable rating with Moody's. S&P, on the other hand, kept the rating. We are still at A-. but they changed the outlook from stable to negative. And that was a result of our use in fiscal year 23 and depletion of available reserves to meet debt service coverage ratios. With their methodology, their rating methodology, and what they're required to publish for their investors, they don't allow one-time funding sources to be used to
For rates.
sustain debt service coverage. It has to be revenues.
Yep.
And so for that purpose, they downgraded us, or not downgraded us, but changed our outlook to negative. And it was listed that if this didn't change and we didn't get proper rate relief and revenues, then it could lead to a downgrade. So
Right. But we still are investment grade.
we still are investment
Okay,
grade.
okay. And really, this is, you're summarizing the challenge with the PUC on the rate battle,
That's correct.
which at least you've now resolved. You've gotten some rate relief, and you're beginning to prepare for the next 5 years of you're looking at rates
Right,
based on your CIP plan, the new consent decree, the new list.
right.
Okay.
1.5.3 as a long-term strategic objective, balancing long-term debt financing and revenue financing. Again, we talked about this in the IFCIP. So the first item is ratio of bond dollars to IFCIP dollars by year. And you can see for fiscal year 23 that ratio jumped, which means we used significantly more bond dollars than we did IFCIP dollars. The ratio prior was about 8.9, and it jumped to 40 because of our under investment in revenue-funded CIP. And then for item number 2, bond dollars spent by year, 23.4 million in fiscal year 22, and we're down to 16.6 million in
That's because
fiscal year 23.
you're emptying, you're using the bond proceeds, right?
We are using the bond proceeds. We just contracted less projects
Right.
using bond funds. And keep in mind that the total numbers, CIP numbers I mentioned previously, included all funding sources, and this is just specific to bonds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Item number 3, IFCIP, dollar spend by year. And so you can see the prior year we spent 2.6 million in IFCIP, and for fiscal year 23 we only spent 415,000. So significantly below our goal, which is the next line, our asset renewal goal versus our IFCIP spending. So based on our master plan work, the target is about 3 million a year in asset renewals, and we only spent 415.
That's because you had to use some of your revenues for the rate side.
1.5.4, improve or maintain affordability of service, and the metrics here are average annual bill by year, and for fiscal year 23, finance reports that number is 1,163, up slightly from 1,151 the prior year. What is interesting to note is the percentage of MHI for a combined water and sewer bill. That's item number 2 on the spreadsheet.
It's dropped.
It dropped, and I think the reason it dropped is because there were the 2020 census numbers came out, and the change in the MHI and the metric that we used in order to calculate that percentage changed between 22 and 23. I don't think the census numbers came out in time for us to include it in the 2022 calc, but the new MHI value based on the 2020 census data is about 58,200 per year, and so that is the reason why that number is still at 2%, which is still fairly affordable.
Yep.
Okay. And then there is some narrative discussion on the affordability study. Again, the board is familiar with this. I briefed them on the PUC's action with respect to our proposed affordability program and customer assistance program, and they declined to include that, but we are, they did express that they were interested in the rate design that we had proposed previously. They wanted us to introduce it, which we did in April. It would have complicated the true-up, so we asked them to hold it until after the true-up. So after the true-up, we asked for them to pick it back up in December. And at this point, I'm not sure whether they are going to move forward with it or not. we're still trying to work that out with the PUC and the ALJ.
I think they're waiting also to see if if 3 of their members are put back on the PUC. They had a hearing on that yesterday, yeah?
Oh,
Jeff,
the
Dr.
confirmation?
Jeff, Peter Montanola, I don't know if there was
Joe
3,
McDonald.
and Joe, so 3 of the, which makes sense. I mean, they need to make sure their house is full before they can commit back. But you're ready to go once they're
Yes.
populated.
Yes. Next is 1.5.5, improving or maintaining liquidity and reserves. The metric here is our days cash goal versus our days cash actual by month. And the goal is 120 days, and we are at 264 if you don't include the OMERF, and 352 if you do include the OMERF. 1.5.6, achieve personnel compensation migration objectives. This is measured as market percentile goal versus actual. And last year we were at 20% based on the prior market data. So this year, for fiscal year 23 rather, we are at 20%. We maintain the 20% using the prior 2017 market data, but we're at 5% if we use the 2022 market data. The board is aware of that as well. Moving on, 2.0, finance. 2.1, financial capacity to meet our operational needs, and this metric is revenue budgeted versus actual by year. And for fiscal year 23, we were budgeted 109 million, and we came in at 108.2 million. 2.2, operational expenses, managing that to meet our budget levels. So our O&M expenses budget to actual by year. We budgeted 107.5, and we came in at 104.6. So we managed our expenses to be under what the budget was. And
Well, I think in light of the delay in your rate relief, it's actually quite good.
did quite
Your
good.
team did quite well.
but keep in mind that in order to
You sacrificed
Do this.
CIPs.
sacrifice
But
here.
money is, but you had to manage that.
Yes.
A third party said, we're not going to give you rate relief. You managed within those parameters.
But it cost us our reserves on the rate
You
stabilization
ma-
fund.
But you managed it.
Yeah.
No checks bounced.
Right.
And you maintain investment grade.
Right. And that relates to 2.3, the next item in the criteria, which is our meeting our debt service coverage targets. And I point out that the PUC temporarily revised our goal of 1.4 to 1.3. So 1.3 is listed as the target since the pandemic, right? So that's for fiscal year 23, we finished the year at 1.31. So it's just above the target level. Item 2.4 is maintaining our cash reserve fund levels, and there's 2 components here, the unrestricted cash reserve goals versus actual. So our goal is 3 to 4 million, and these are essentially our BOG deposit accounts. And so the goal is 3 to 4 million, and we were at, on average, 19.3 million for fiscal year 23. And then with intent to specific reserve funds, target versus actual, that's the second item there. 13.5 is the target, and we were at 14.5. And again, these are specific reserve funds, not necessarily unrestricted. But I wanted to point out that this is not the rate stabilization fund, right? That has been depleted to 0. But these are other reserve funds that we are required to have.
So that for 2022, it's 12 point, and 23 is 19.3?
Yes, for just the cash accounts.
Yeah.
And then 2.5, identify cost efficiencies and reduce waste. On the narrative, that's covered under at page 8, and just some updated information. In fiscal year 23, we initiated a performance audit through the IA for operational divisions to determine efficiency and performance within our levels of service objectives based on the 2018 master plan stated LOSs. And so we did one of the operational divisions, and that was started in fiscal year '23, but it's going to roll into fiscal year '24. We've already included it in our audit plan and objectives to complete that focus on operational efficiencies. In addition, I think the board is aware that we've been undergoing the implementation of our new financial management system. That started back in '21. We did some additional work for the mobile workforce platform, tying into our financial management system in '22. And in '23, we initiated additional work to roll in engineering and construction procurement processes into the financial management system. So that work was started in '23 and will continue into '24 in terms of our performance with trying to identify cost efficiencies and reduce waste. Moving on to 3.0, human resource management. The item 3.1 is improve recruitment and retention, and the metric here is average days to fill a position for fiscal year '23. That number is 56 days average to fill a position, down from 122 from the prior year.
Wow, what caused such a great improvement?
Zena and her team, and Chris's hard boss on them.
Okay.
So-
It's excellent. Just, that's a significant, you've almost cut it in half.
We also
Kind of
got
what other things happened?
we got some additional bodies.
Okay.
And so, the staff was overwhelmed prior. We lost some people to retirement or resignation, and the folks that we did have were just kind of carrying the extra burden, and we got some additional bodies. And with Zena and Chris's management, they were able to push things out much quicker. So we're not where we need to be yet in terms of recruitment, and this only addresses the recruitment part. The retention part is making sure people are happy being here, right, and that they are paid what they think they're worth.
But even if they're not, your ability to refill was excellent, and especially compared to the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's improving.
Good job.
And then the second component here is the average monthly FTE vacancies. So we're showing this number at 40, up from 35 the prior year. But I point out in the notes there, and I'm sorry it got cut off when we printed it, but that note reads, after JDE implementation, the system data indicates 20, 39, 38, and 40 for fiscal years 20 through 23 respectively. So the numbers that you see for fiscal 20 on the in those columns, 29 for fiscal 20, 31 for 21, those numbers are a little bit different after we implemented the JDE. I'm not exactly sure why, but I just wanted to point that out. And some additional information with respect to turnover. For those same years, starting with fiscal year 20, moving through fiscal year 23, the turnover has been 2.17% in fiscal year 20, 10.5% in 21, 11.8% in 22, and 13.3% in 23. So you can see that we're trending in the wrong direction with respect to turnover.
Any feel for that is? Overall.
Competition.
For
the position.
Federal side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Federal and private, right? I mean, there's a lot of build up happening.
A lot of
in,
competition.
Contractors looking for people. Okay. Improve or 3.2 is improve or maintain succession planning. And I've addressed that somewhat in the narrative. 3.2, not too much new information there. But it continues to be a focus for executive and mid-manager level to make sure that they're encouraging their employees to test up, move up in their certification levels, and whenever we have vacancies for advanced positions that require additional certification, we are trying to fill them with the people that are making the effort to get certified and improve their skill sets. And so with the whole underlying goal being that when, for example, a manager goes on leave, we need someone qualified to be able to stand in his shoes and get trained and get familiar with the next generation, because this is not a one-time thing. This is continuous improvement that needs to occur over the next several years. The next item is 3.3, improve employee satisfaction and pride. We did do in fiscal year 23, an updated employee survey. I'm still waiting on the results of that, and I will update the board on that separately, but I don't have anything to report other than we did the survey and we have results, but we're still compiling them. 3.4 is to enhance employee training and development, and there's two or three measures here. In-house training for employees by year. The number of different trainings offered to employees this year was 14, down from 21 the prior year. Some of that had to do with the disruption to operations just from MOAR. Number 2 is the number of certified employees, operational employees holding Guam EPA certifications by year, and we're at 81 this year, 86 the prior year, but this is 81 with current certifications. We actually have 126 total, but some of the certifications are expired, so this is at the cutoff date. It was a total number that we're.
And
So from 80
go ahead.
So from 86 to 81 is mostly, what do you call, outdated? Not outdated.
No, I think
Expired?
I think there's a combination there. Some of it might be that, but I think some of it is also that we've lost certified operators. They've left us for better pay. So we will get them, bring them on, get them certified, get them trained, and when they get to a certain level, they're in demand, and then they leave.
So, so upping our pay scale, that would help in terms of attracting these people?
Retaining them.
Retaining.
Yes,
Both,
sir.
both.
I think it would. I mean, you know, I will say that the majority of the dedicated employees that we have with, you know, in the higher positions with the advanced certifications, it appears to me in my discussions with them that they understand the commitment to serving their families, their friends, their community. And when they have that attitude, even though they may not make as much, they're here for the right reasons, right? And it's actually a shame that is the case.
Yeah,
We want them here for those reasons, but we want them to be equitably paid, right?
Yeah,
We want to be competitive.
Right.
Yeah, they deserve us to be
We need
competitive.
to do that.
Yeah. I also want to point out for our colleagues, so in 2003, when we took office, the number of certified operators, and for the public's information, to operate a wastewater plant, you have to be certified. And the US EPA requires certain jobs within the water authority. You must be a certified operator. We now have averaged about 80 certified operators for the last 4 or 5 years from under Miguel. When we took office in 2003, we had less than 10, right? We had less than 10 versus 80. Yeah, we had a handful. And again, under the appointed board, GWA was just a dumping ground for labor. They just threw anybody in there. But they weren't certified, they weren't trained, there was no wage scale. It was the most convenient place for the political process to dump employees. And I don't know if Miguel will talk about it, but the number of employees we had then versus the number of employees we have now at GWA, it's night and day. And we have certified operators now. 20 years ago, under the appointed board, we had a handful of certified operators. It was like they almost didn't care whether we were certified. All they cared about was making sure they could throw bodies, you know, and use ratepayer money to employ bodies that were not qualified, were not certified, but it was a body, right? And that's because under the appointed boards, just the political process had way too much influence on staffing here at both, especially at GWA. GWA was the worst compared to GPA, but both utilities were way overstaffed, as we saw from John B.'s presentation. 40% reduction in the number of people working. If we asked Miguel to do the data from back then, it's also significantly reduced. But more importantly, the quality of the people working for us, the fact that we've invested in training. And here's Miguel saying, hey, we even got to look at pay, because he's reminding me of where we were in 2003. GPA would train the linemen, and then they go work at Anaheim. That's why we went to Senator Klitsky and Senator Brown and created the wage scale that we do, that we now have the chance to attract and retain. And that's another reason we have 80 certified operators today when we had a handful 20 years ago. And Miguel's pointing out we still have work to do, because we've actually slid back in terms of competitive wages, and he's noticing it because he's having some good people leave for higher wages. So it's something we'll all have to look at. But
Are they certified how often? Every 3 years or?
So once you get certified, it's a matter of renewing your certification. But once you're certified at a particular level, right, you just have to renew. But we're encouraging
Try to go higher.
there's four levels of certification. So level 1 is the minimum required to make you an operator, right? And once you're an operator, then if you want to move up, it requires a level 2 certification in order to move up, level 3 to be a leader, and I think level 4 to be a supervisor and manager. And so we encourage them, and we coordinate with other industry organizations or consultants to provide operator training so that we give them the support they need in order to test up and increase their knowledge, their skills, and their operational certification.
So with this 81, maybe it's safe to say that they're at level 3 at least.
Oh, it's across all 4 ranges.
Yeah.
It's across all 4 certification levels.
But 20 years ago, we had a handful not even rated, not even certified. And that's the difference. Huge difference.
I'd also point out that we have employees who are, for which there is no Guam EPA certification, but who are doing work now, and for example, in instrumentation, that there is no certification requirement for them to hold the job, but they recognize that where they are heading in terms of instrumentation, it being more complex, and then us moving to SCADA, that they should have certifications, are seeking on their own to research what do I need to get
What's it gonna
certified
take?
in, right? And I don't yet have the ability to support that because
The regulator doesn't have the criteria.
the regulator doesn't have criteria, but there are industry organizations that we could turn to and say, what, for this type of job within this organization,
What's
what
the training?
certification would be appropriate. But I don't have the money to get them trained and to get that certification. And if it's not a requirement of the position, it's a little more difficult to justify, right? But I want to be able to do things, and what I'm pointing out is that the employees themselves want to do these things.
Get them the training, Miguel. You're doing the right thing.
That's it. Okay.
Okay. Moving on to 4.0, information management. 4.1, public filing requirements. Our 4 items under this are annual report filing dates. We typically are doing this in the annual reports after the audits are completed. So for fiscal year 22, it was delayed because of the OPEB issue. For fiscal year 23, we don't have the audit yet, but we will file it in 24. Item number 2, our annual water quality report filing dates by year. June of 23 is when the 22 results were required to be filed. The fiscal year 23 results are required to be filed before June of 2024, and we will meet that goal. Number 3, OPA citizen-centric reports, filing dates by year. October 20, in 2022, we filed it in October of 23, and I think we did this in October. Janet submitted this one in October of 2024. When I put this report together, I didn't have that date, but I believe we already filed it for 2024. And then item number 4, our bond filing dates for reporting through DAC. June, August, and October of 2023, we filed DAC reports. And the multiple filing dates here are because the audit results, the audited financial statements were delayed by the OPEB issue. And so we filed interim updates and then, gave them a notification we're waiting. But in October of 2023, we finally filed the final audited. But it should have been in June. Okay. 4.2, improve accuracy of public media communications. This is addressed in the narrative on page 9. For fiscal year 23, we were required to up our game here, specifically with respect to the Typhoon Mawar response. We pushed out information on multiple platforms, including podcasts, to provide updated messaging and accurate information. We expended significant effort to correct a lot of misinformation that was going on during the recovery period, including erroneously published information by Guam EPA. And so I think we did a fairly good job of that across social media platforms and a dedicated website. This is in addition to what we had already started prior to that in terms of updating the public with progress on our CIPs and putting that on our website and on social media. And we'll continue that into 24 and leading up to the new 5-year rate plan. The second item under this is SCC dispatch SMS text issuances by month. For fiscal year 23, that averaged 23 per month, up from 11 the prior month. 4.3, broadening public outreach for our CIP and system improvements. We did not need to conduct any water resource master plan meetings in fiscal year 23, so that number is 0. 5-year and financial plan and CIP public meetings, we had 1 in fiscal year 23, as opposed to the 5 that we had the prior year when we actually did the comprehensive review and update. And then we already touched on the narrative in item 4.2. 4.4, maintain and enhance management reporting to the CCU. That's addressed in the narrative. Not too much new information there, but as the board has seen, we have changed up and improved the monthly reporting that we provide to you. Also, the CFO has done a great job at adding management reports. So that is also helpful.
And you don't have 20 slide PowerPoint presentations like some of your colleagues.
4.5 is the last item under this criteria, which is to meet all compliance reporting requirements. And this is especially with court order report filing dates. That's the criteria. And again, we are 100% compliant, issuing the quarterly reports 4 times a year on time and as scheduled.
Consistently.
Just to point out, again, the one-pager that I submitted, the supplemental list of accomplishments, the highlights there. We talked about the response and recovery efforts. 29 days to get to 100% recovery. And number 2, completion of the true-up adjudication process. Even though it was at the 11th hour, we did get it done. Item number 3, after 5 or 6 long years of negotiation, we completed our compliance negotiations with US EPA and Department of Justice for a proposed consent decree, and they're just waiting on that final filing. Number 4, we were able to secure a US District Court order extension for the deadline to complete the 2011 court order requirements. Number 5, we completed all the projects and are pretty much closed out on all the grants for that $173 million US DoD funding.
Which is really the most of it was the reconstruction of the northern wastewater treatment plant at no cost to the ratepayers.
At nominal cost.
Nominal.
We did have to pitch in for the property acquisition and use some of the bond funds to cover the
But
additional expenses for the
90% of it
Yes.
was covered by
Absolutely.
a grant that the GWA team and the CCU was able to secure
From DOD.
from DOD, yeah.
And the deputy of what was then OEA, now OLDCC, Dan Glasson, was here, and he finally took a tour of Northern District, and very pleased with the results. So we were very happy to have him see what so many years ago he initiated for us. First week on the job in San Francisco.
You sure you can build this thing and get it in? And you delivered it,
Absolutely.
Miguel,
Yes.
and you delivered it to the benefit of our people.
Number 6, we continue to advance our quiet title action on the Northern District wastewater treatment plant property. So that, I think, is an accomplishment, having to take all of that on and keep it moving forward. Number 7, successfully negotiated a favorable settlement in our action against the meter manufacturer to recover damages from failed meters. And achieving an outcome which they said was not possible. We made it possible. So I consider that to be a successful outcome. And then finally, number 8, we finally able to recruit the GM of engineering. And so
Fill up your
complete
management team.
my tasking from you all when I first started.
Right. Hey, you know, I mean, when, prior to you coming on, I think general manager had like 13 some direct reports. Remember that? And, you know, how do you manage a company when 13 people are talking to you?
No, I think, Miguel, you have been the best general manager of GWA since the CCU took over. I would say ever.
Ever.
Appointed or elected.
Appointed or elected.
And,
But certainly a great help to us.
Yeah. And, no, you're a patriot. Keep it up.
Okay.
I don't know what patriots are getting paid these days, but.
Okay. And you know, I finished my scoring.
Yep, me too. That's not another.
That's not on the say yeah, finish your scoring. And we appreciate all you do for us. We have,
Couldn't do it without the team, sir.
yes, no.
Yeah.
You do it with your
But
team.
a team needs a leader.
Team needs a leader, and we appreciate what you do. I mean, and you know, I don't want to make light of this, but you're worth every penny we pay you and more. So.
Yeah, you know, but people, the general public, and, you know, I'm not surprised they don't spend as much time as we do, but they really don't appreciate how difficult it is to find Miguel Berdallos. And Miguel's talking about how difficult it is for him to find teammates that are qualified, but it all starts at the top. It's difficult to find Miguel's, it's difficult to find John B's, and, you know, it's easy for the armchair, you know, quarterback to sit there and say, hey, you know, yeah, there's 100 applicants for these jobs.
Yeah,
there aren't, and then you're lucky to find good applicants.
I mean,
and
there
then-
may be 100 applicants, but they're not qualified.
But there, as you and I know, there aren't 100 applicants.
Yeah, but they're not even 100 applicants.
I mean,
ridiculous.
yeah, these are very complex, difficult jobs, and you've taken on a very complex and difficult job, and you've done very well with it.
We thank you.
Thank you.
You've done very well. "20 years ago, we were sending 10 million gallons a day at least of Hanamtaki into the ocean. And if you read the first complaint from the Department of Justice and US EPA, they made a specific reference to put us in receivership. And the elected CCU said, let's have a conversation about that.
Let's work on this.
And we've spent 21 years doing what we've had to do, and avoiding receivership, and inheriting from an appointed board a complete and utter mess. And it's only because the people of Guam have elected very good representatives directly that we've been able to turn this around and attract people like Miguel and retain people like Miguel and John B. Because of the quiet expertise of the voter who says, who do I want to represent me on these two large companies that I own a piece of? And they've done an excellent job of electing good people from a variety of backgrounds that have produced significantly better results by every measurement. And it's a tribute to our team. how well they've done. Miguel, you in particular. How long have you been with us?
8 years. This will be 8 years this month. You
My
started your
eighth, my 8th year will begin in January.
Okay, you're completing your 7th year,
16,
and then
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 8 years.
Oh,
Yeah, you'll be starting
no
your
wonder
ninth
you don't
year.
get the rate relief you want. You're always short a little bit.
Yeah, you're
So you're
starting
completing your 8th year.
You're completing your 8th year this month.
yes.
Okay, I remember January 2016.
That's 2 gubernatorial terms. God
Yeah.
knows how many GMs we could have had. You know, so when we took over after Pong San Hua, right? First off, the board hadn't met. Pong San Hua was December 8th. The board had not met at all in the month of December. And there were 3 GMs at GWA.
In 1 month?
For the last 3 or 4 years, under an appointed board, there was 3 general managers at GWA.
Yeah,
Now we only have 1, and he's built the team.
yeah. And you know, I want to recognize the fact that in terms of our wages that we set, Simon likes to say that, you know, we put in place a professional wage study and survey, and, you know, we're trying to move people to be competitive in the world that we live in, because this is not just, you know, doing this, passing paper from here to there. But, you know, if we look at our next wage study, you're at the 10th percentile if we were to look at the 2022. You are at
He's currently at the 10th
currently
percentile.
at the 10th percentile
Okay.
of that. So, but, you know, I mean,
Let's review that, and that's the next thing on our
that's
list.
the next thing on our list. I want to tell you that although we may decide not to make a change at this time, you know, we'll discuss that, but I want to tell you that when we do make a move, at that point, we may decide to do something. Okay? Because,
to that part of the agenda.
yeah, no, that's coming up.
Now, right?
No.
We're doing the review.
We're done with the review. I'm waiting for the score.
Then we'll score it, right? Okay,
Yeah,
let's
we're ready.
tabulate, and then let's take a
Yeah.
brief recess, we'll
Yeah.
tabulate.
Yeah,
and then
hey,
we'll- then
I'm
we'll
sorry.
Then we'll
We're
return
supposed to
to,
take these things. Okay, we'll have a 5-minute recess.
yes.
Okay? back from the brief recess. Okay, now? Okay, from a brief recess, back in our meeting. The score for Miguel Bordallo is 3.8. That's the overall total score. Our general manager for GWA is 3.9. So
That exceeds expectations.
exceeds expectations. And what's the Commissioner Sanchez?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I'd like to propose, based on the review of Miguel and the excellent work that he's done, the 3.8 is basically almost a 4.
Yeah.
But exceeding expectation, especially during Marwar, and making sure that our people were taken care of, our employees were taken care of, all the complex issues. A new consent decree has been, first off, the original consent decree, we are on the 1 foot line of completion, to the degree that Miguel has also successfully negotiated the second list. And anecdotally, the EPA wanted the second list on the first consent decree, but we argued, the elected CCU said to the judge, you're going to price water beyond the reach of ratepayers if you try to cram everything into, and as you know, it was supposed to be done by 2011, and we said it's too compressed. Spread it out to 2020. Miguel joined us eight years ago and completed the first consent decree successfully, and has really done an excellent job as his review continues to show, and very grateful for that. He's currently paid $184,340, Mr. Chair, and as you know, we have always tried to take our entire group, our employees as well as our management, try to pay them at about the 25th percentile. And actually what we're learning now, because unlike other government agencies, we do a regular review of wages for all levels of employees, from not just management, but all levels of employees. And when we first set up this pay scale with the help of Senator Klitsky and Senator Brown, we agreed, let's try to get to the 25th percentile. And we had moved our team up, but what we're finding now with the latest survey, which we just did in the last year, that actually our whole wage scale for everybody has slid back down, which means other utilities of like size are paying their people even more aggressively to attract and retain good people. And so our whole team has slid back. Miguel is currently below the 20th percentile based on the new survey, and his current pay is $184,340. I would like to propose that we give Miguel Bordallo a raise to $194,326. This is a 5.4% wage increase. It would take him to only the 20th percentile based on the 2022 survey, so not even at the 25th percentile. But it is to recognize that in the past year, he's done an excellent job. This was his first typhoon, because we hadn't had one in 20 years. And as he's pointed out, and if you study the public record, the recovery of the water system was the fastest ever. I mean, I think within 3 weeks we had almost 99%, or back in Pong Son Hua, we were months before we got to the 99%. And so not only has the team matured and improved, but in the last 8 years, Miguel's really taken them to the next level. And so consistent with that, and yet only paying him at the 20th percentile based on the last wage survey, I'm proposing that we give Miguel a raise to $194,326 from his current pay of $184,340. This would represent a 5.4% increase for Miguel.
Is there a second to that motion?
Yeah, I'll second for discussion. So you bring it up, we're giving him actually 5.3?
I've calculated it to, again, $194,326 is 5.4% higher than his current pay of $184,340. So it's a modest 5.4% increase. What was the raise across the board for Guam?
22%.
22%.
For everybody.
Yeah. And
Second? Okay. Further discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Miguel.
Yeah, motion to adjourn is in order.
Second.
Second? All those in favor?
Happy
signify
holidays,
by
colleagues.
aye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy hol-
Christmas.
Take care of everybody.
Great job, Miguel.
Thank you, Miguel.
Keep it up, keep it up.